want somebody new. Impossible for me to let it go, let it go. So if it's goodbye, if you're running free, you ought to know, ought to know. You're the reason I learned to love, learn to love.
The moment I throw my backpack in the trunk of your rusty car, not knowing where we going, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far. Oh, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far. And all I see is a white view light through soft clouds, the sun, the moon, and we follow our hearts. We see in the signs, led by the stars, not knowing where we're going. Yeah, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far, it's gonna be far. And all I see is a white view light through soft clouds, the sun, the moon, and emotional landscapes right here, making memories with you. Sun, moon, you. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, the glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, close my eyes, sense your vibe, being alive just feels so right. We are flying out of space and time. Sparks spraying between us, colorful clouds of dust. Coincidence might be divine. Wanna sing your melody, sounds like poetry to me. Let your key resonate all through my body. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, the glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, you saw me tonight, the soul of a child, the chaos of my mind. I am with you. Skin to skin, wondering it is covering all the words so new and welcoming. Am I dreaming? Are we here? Just imagine how it feels. Stop believing that it could be real. Wanna sing a melody, sounds like poetry to me. Let your key resonate all through my body. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, glowing light and shine. I am with you. Oh, you saw me tonight, the soul of a child, the chaos of my mind. Are you with me? Oh,
You and I know from the first touch, this was probably more than love. That's why I know that this will hurt much when there's no longer us. You and me against the world. Oh, say no more words, 'cause I've had enough and I had enough and I no more words. 'Cause I You and I know from the first touch, this was probably more than love. That's why I know that this will hurt much when there's no longer us. You and me against the world. Oh, say no more words, 'cause I've had enough and I had enough and I no more words. 'Cause
There's a place I wanna go, 15 miles to the coast. the sun always shines right down on the borderline. Here in Barbados, Santo Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Sitting here under the blue sky, people here don't ask why. The sun comes down every evening, oh, the sun comes up, we're believing. Here in Barbados, Santo Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Lazy breeze in a sea of green, slipping on the sunscreen. Lazy breeze in an open sky, never wanna say goodbye. Here in Barbados, Santo Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Here in Barbados, Santo Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, here in Barbados, oh, Santo Domingo, oh, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, 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 oh.
Running in circles, waiting for the moment to come. There's no rehearsal when you want to reach the stars. I lift my head up and hit resume. Get me away from the waiting room, 'cause we were born to achieve a dream. So just fire away, fire away. Well, do you feel it getting closer? I know each day we're growing stronger. Well, do you feel it getting closer? My eyes on the clock, the game is on. 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 I feel I'm on the edge, testing my own limits. It's taking me to the top. I'm taking action, okay, here we go. Well, do you feel it getting closer? I know each day we're growing stronger. Well, do you feel it getting closer? My eyes on the clock, the game is on. The game is on.
do you speak on my name? Why do you treat me so bad? 'Cause I never made you feel like this. Why do you leave me into? Do you love you for real? Do you love you for real? No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. Why do you speak on my name? Do you love you for real? Why do you treat me so bad? Do you love you for real? 'Cause I never made you feel like this. Do you love you for real? Why do you leave me into? Do you love you for real? No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, 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 don't give me that, give me that, give me that.
Like a siren without a warning. You never know what hits you if you wake up in the morning like a temptress in a red dress. Seduction is destruction, so you better get a move. Danger, danger, that's where you're going. The heart is open, your blood is overflowing, baby. Danger, danger, that's where you're headed. Got your pedal to the metal and life is not ready, baby. Yeah.
left these bones. Turn a gun, now lost the ferryman took his toll. It's gonna take me where the river don't flow.
mercy on my wicked soul. Nobody told me what makes right from wrong. Came from the shadow with an eagle eye, leaving all my thoughts and my fears behind. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Nobody come from here. So I leave today. Say goodbye to all of the pain. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm letting go where I came from. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm shaking off where I came from. Riding with freedom and I found my way. Ain't nobody gonna lead my mind astray. I'm gonna move the ground beneath my feet. I'm gonna lose the feeling I defeat. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Nobody come from here. So I leave today. Say goodbye to all of the pain. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm letting go where I came from. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm shaking off where I came from. I'm moving up. I'm moving on. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm moving up. I'm moving on. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm letting go where I came from. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm shaking off where I came from. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run.
I don't care what you think of me. Live my life like I'm 17. Late night party lights, oh my I've lost my mind. Glitter eyes, watch me do my thing. And I know what you came here for. Eyes down, staring at the floor. You might say go, but your body resists. Your feet start moving to the sound of Prince. Don't say no, no, don't lose this. You gotta give it up, baby. Give it up, baby. Guess who's back to blow your mind? But let me warn you one last time. Guess who's back to change your life? But it's not gonna be just fine. Whoa, I've got you under my spell tonight. Whoa, we're both heading to hell tonight. So don't ever listen to a word they say. It's time that you found out that I'm gonna get my way. Won't light it up, then I'll burn it down. I'm gonna make you feel like you're invincible when no one's around. I'm gonna build you up, and then I'll strike you down. 'Cause you're about to know it's nothing personal. Sometimes good people do bad things. I have always tried to be nice. I've sat right back, I've tried to be quiet. But I can only take so much, and then I just explode. To feel it building inside, then I just need to let go. So don't ever listen to a word they say. It's time that you found out that I'm gonna get my way. Okay, I'm gonna light it up, then I'll burn it down. I'm gonna make you feel like you're invincible when no one's around. I'm gonna build you up, and then I'll strike you down. 'Cause you're about to know it's nothing personal. Sometimes good people do bad things. Oh, oh, oh. Sometimes good people do bad things. Oh, oh, oh. Sometimes good people do bad things.
You walk down the streets and see different faces with a hope without a chase. They reach out for love and for freedom forever. Do you remember how it feels? Let's walk for a while with a face full of smile until sadness disappears. When weakness overcomes you, face it, go through, and the things as they come, it will go further now. Spring arms wide apart in the middle of the storm. Whoa, you fulfill it right now. Set a goal for yourself. This is still not the end. And pull it through now. Every pain that you feel comes to an end oh so soon. The time has come now. No, it's not the time to quit. Put yourself together, whoa. And this is coming.
Staring out at an April snow and your taxi in the street. I imagine time has slowed. In sympathy, of packing up my heart to walk away. Still, it's all I want to say. 'Cause I learned to love for you. I don't want somebody new. Impossible for me to let it go, let it go. So if it's goodbye, if you're running free, you ought to know, ought to know. You're the reason I learned to love. Learn to love. Holding on to a photograph from the day we made our vows, and I bet we would have laughed to see us now. You're packing up my heart to walk away. Still, it's all I want to say. 'Cause I learned to love for you, for you. I don't want somebody new. Impossible for me to let it go, let it go. So if it's goodbye, if you're running free, you ought to know, ought to know. You're the reason I learned to love. Learn to love. 'Cause I learned to love for you. I don't want somebody new. Impossible for me to let it go, let it go. So if it's goodbye, if you're running free, you ought to know, ought to know. You're the reason I learned to love. Learn to love.
The moment I throw my backpack in the trunk of your rusty car, not knowing where we going, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far. Oh, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far. And all I see is a white you light through soft clouds, the sun, the moon, and you. emotional landscapes. Right here, making memories with you. Sun, moon, you.
I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside. The glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, close my eyes, sense your vibe, being alive just feels so right. We are flying out of space and time. Sparks spraying between us, colorful clouds of dust. Coincidence might be divine. Wanna sing your melody, sounds like poetry to me. Let your key resonate all through my body. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside. The glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, you saw me tonight, the soul of a child, the chaos of my mind. I am with you. With me, skin to skin, wondering landscapes we're discovering. All the world's so new and welcoming. Am I dreaming? Are we here? Just imagine how it feels. Stop believing that it could be real. Wanna sing a melody, sounds like poetry to me. Let your key resonate all through my body. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside. Glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, you saw me tonight, the soul of a child, the chaos of my mind. I am with me. Oh,
There's a place I wanna go, 15 miles to the coast, where the sun always shines, right down on the borderline. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Sitting here under the blue sky, people here don't ask why. The sun comes down every evening, oh, the sun comes up, we're believing. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Lazy breeze in a sea of green, slipping on the sunscreen. Lazy breeze in an open sky, never wanna say goodbye. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago.
他们说要跟着那阵风去征服每一座巅峰，然后呢？巅峰之后是什么？他们将我捧上云巅，也让我从头来过。不让我回来的，我一意孤行；要让我折服的，我踏入光明；让我无路可走的，使我惧怕的，反要让他们畏缩。他们一直说个不停，因为他们害怕洪水猛兽，那就比猛兽更凶了，比洪水更滔天。是将到来的，终会成苦；汹涌而起的，终会证明。既然暴风将至，那就去把那些不服的、不屈的、不可磨灭的、非赢不可的，通通化成风。这里是我们，我们就是风暴。
Welcome, one and all, to the LPL. Hello.
Hi. You just noticed me?
That sounded very sultry right there for a second. But we are here in my office, in my house. We are going to be doing some...
We're in person.
We are. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, bring it in.
We are finally in person for some casts. We're going to be doing this for most of playoffs. We're hoping to have a couple more people. I'm assembling the affinity gauntlet of LPL casters around my house. But welcome. Good to have you here. We're going to talk about what happened yesterday, because what happened yesterday League of Legends did in fact happen, but it has big implications of what's going to be happening today.
Yes, absolutely. So,
oh yeah, I'm wishing he's Ox.
Yeah, we had a fisters today. Wasn't too instrumental. We saw V5 dominate as kind of expected. They're already locked in first though, so just kind of make the scoreline a little bit nicer. Second one was a big one though, right? We had the opportunity for OMG to lock in playoffs. They missed out in a close 2-1, and that means today they are still fighting to continue. For anyone who's unclear, obviously these are matches that got delayed. OMG, due to a situation with the team getting COVID, have had 3 matches delayed. Yesterday was that first one against FPX.
Yeah, it was the first one, first opportunity that now leads itself into when we can look at the standings and how things all pan out. So OMG are not out of it just yet, but they need to beat both LNG today and RNG tomorrow. That's 3 series in a row. And not only that, because even if they do win against those 2 teams, they got to play another series in playoffs the day after.
Yeah, so a lot of work to be done, but still the hope is alive. I think that's a major thing. They are not grayed out yet, as we've seen the likes of CT, LTD, WE, IGAL, and Ultra Prime gone. There's still hope, and that's what they're going to be fighting for today and potentially tomorrow.
Yeah, potentially tomorrow. But let's have a look at today's game. It is going to be OMG versus LNG. That is the one here. And for LNG, it's also, we saw the standings there, they can get themselves up the top 4 as well. There is a lot of opportunities here to miss out or to skip a couple of those steps in the playoff bracket.
Yeah, and speaking of the playoff bracket, we can take a look at that and sort of delve into exactly what they're fighting for. Because I think, people can look at it, it can be quite confusing, especially since we're in a league with 17 teams compared to the other major regions that only have 10. It is quite an extended bracket, and having those hardest seeding spots can make such a massive difference. We have seen teams like last split, LNG, WE have to run the gauntlet, but obviously does make things very scary.
It does. Let's have a look at the bracket now, because we got ourselves, as usual, an insanely hype-up bracket. It goes from single elimination straight into double elim. But let me tell you this. We finish our regular catch-up games tomorrow. That's the 25th. Then we go straight into Saturday, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 8 days in a row, you have LPL playoff action.
Yeah, just feels like pretty non-stop, and especially if you're one of those lowest seeds, if you're 10th, 7th, 8th, 9th, right, and you're in the first row of games, you will just have pretty much non-stop action. We'll have a game, and then a day break, and then a game, and a day break, and a game. Pretty much constantly for those first 3 rounds, makes things very tricky. And just to be clear, if you get first or second in the league, that is where you'll be into double elimination. So you have that buffer zone. For anyone who's not familiar, last split we had EDG lose their first match and obviously come back, win it all, win Worlds. So it makes a big difference to have that buffer. But even if you're not getting into that top 2 spot, it's the fact that these teams down towards the bottom will have to play just extra rounds. And, there's an element to say of when we see the hot streaks getting warmed up, having momentum, but also you lose once and there's fatigue as well. And if you lose once, you're out. We are also changing patch for playoffs, so it does mean you get some more practice on the patch, but also teams got to see how you operate and get a prep against that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can kind of talk about, as you said, we haven't filled out that bracket because there's still 2 matches to go, and a lot can change between those 2 brackets. And between those 2 matches, we can look at the bottom bit, the last little playoff spot, because for OMG, it's win and you're in basically in the next 2 matches. If you lose, though, any of the next 2 and you're gone.
Yeah, so definitely makes it really, really tricky because they have to just win them both, and against LNG, RNG, not exactly easy opponents, but the dream is still alive, I think, is the pivotal thing. And essentially, because of the game score, which we can show you here, the way it's ranked is it's how many series wins you have, then it's game score, which is that number there where RA is +2, FPX is 0, OMG is +1, and then it's based on head-to-head. So if OMG win these 2 series, even if they go 2-1, which means they only get a +2 game score, they'll end up ranking up above RA, and they will go to 9th, as you can explain there. If they lose a single series, it doesn't matter what happens in the other, they will end up going out. So they have to win today, and then they have to continue that momentum and win tomorrow. So big ask for them.
Big ask, and like you said, it is just basically on that game score, or the win-loss ratio, and we can have a look at their game yesterday because this was a decent enough showing from OMG in games 2 and 3, but they just weren't able to make it work. Game 1 felt like a complete and utter raffle stomp by FPX.
Yeah, it felt like FPX did a really good job of setting up plays around the bot lane, right? We see that 4-man dive before, we see another play there where they coordinated, that rounded out their win. Game 2, though, I think Shanji had a pretty strong Kennen game when it comes to team fights. It was pretty scrappy, but OMG having secured a pretty significant Dragon advantage did give them a favor in that regard, but it just came down to these scrappy team fights where they did find the lead. And I think this next clip that's coming up is one that I really enjoy, where they go for this big flank with the Realm Orb, they separate the team, just gives a great opportunity for the Kennen to get in, and specifically they heavily target LWX in this clip to shut him down.
Yeah, and that's how we saw this again. We saw the Kennen multiple times, we see them going towards these big team fights, heavy skirmishing players and heavy skirmishing champions, I should say, and that's where OMG have found themselves a little bit more success. They went with Rumble in game 1 at the top side. It was okay, but they didn't really play around it.
Yeah, and then game 3, this one felt a bit rough because it really felt like FPX did a good job of setting up LWX on this Jinx. We saw that clip before, going for the early dive. It was a 1-for-1, but it denies farm from Abel, and then we see them go up towards the top side, getting this first tower for the Jinx, and on top of that,
3,000 gold.
yeah, it wasn't actually the first tower, they got bot tower already, get
That
the
was the
second
second
tower,
one
but
with
more
plates.
Yeah, 4-0, you get a Jinx that fed, LWX as well specifically, is going to carry, so I think for me, OMG have shown to be really strong with their solo laners, but sometimes they really felt like they were just caught off guard by FPX's play around the bot lane, so need to shore that up for today.
Yeah, and again, like we said, it's a dream for OMG. I think with
yeah.
LNG's current form, it's not exactly unrealistic to think they could maybe slip away a win. I think if you're, as Lyric said on broadcast yesterday, taking what could possibly been, if you don't think V5's the best team in the league, RNG are definitely in that conversation. So,
but they did lose to WE.
They did lose to WE. So
who knows?
You're telling me there's a chance. There's always a chance.
There
is
always a chance in the LPL. I feel like the more surefire something feels, the more likely it's not going to happen.
Yep.
It's so chaotic. We've had so many upsets over the recent weeks, but let's hone in a little bit on LNG and what can happen for them.
Yep.
So we have another graphic just to kind of highlight. There is a huge amount of range of movement for LNG. So just to explain this to be clear, if LNG lose, they will drop below EDG and go into 7th place, right? However, if they win, they will shoot up in terms of standings. Yeah, well actually, I think they go to 4th, and then if RNG lose, they go to 3rd, right? So it's the fact that LNG could be anywhere from 3rd to 7th, depending how today's and tomorrow's game goes. If they win, obviously that keeps fate in their hands, and they can get up to that 4th place spot, which is pretty good. We showed the bracket before how getting 4th spot gets you into that round 3.
Yep.
But obviously, if RNG do end up losing as well, they can get a bit further. But we are flying straight in a draft, and for some reason, Zeri is left open.
No AD carries banned. We actually see a lot of respect given to that top side. Tryndamere, Rumble, Akali, all banned away. OMG did ban away the Gwen, the Ryze, and the Lee Sins themselves, though. But LNG saying, look, Ala, no offense, you haven't had the best split. We're not going to let Shanji get something that can crush you.
100%. And the Akali, I feel like we've seen more of that top lane than mid, but, you know, it's cream, right?
It's cream.
You always have to pay your respect. No surprise here, expecting to see the Jinx pick come in, right? We often see these two traded off if you're not specifically looking to counter the Zeri. Now, OMG in this situation, we often see junglers picked up on this rotation, but could also look for a support. Nautilus is often taken if you want to answer the Zeri, the point and click, but they will go for that Volibear.
Volibear locked in has been a pretty bog standard. Again, something that can, the basics, to dumb it down incredibly simply, to beat a Zeri, jump on her face. That's basically how we've seen it there. So you see things like, obviously in the AD carry roles, you see Kai'Sa, the Tristana, the Volibear does something very, very similar with that Stormbringer, and of course the on-hit Q getting the stun off.
Yeah, and it looks like LNG might be going for a top lane pick. Typically, I'd expect to see them round out, match the jungle pick, and potentially take a support, but might be prioritizing this Jace. And that particularly makes sense when the Tryndamere has been banned away, specifically because Tryndamere has been such a good matchup. We saw the Shy get really bullied by Wayward on it. Ale has had some good Jace performances, been a bit rough this split, and now for LNG, the question is, do you want to prioritize the support? Do you want to prioritize your jungler to match up to that Volibear? I would kind of lean towards the jungler. There's still stuff like Zinzao available, the Hecarim, the Trundle can do well in that matchup, and they will lock that in. Now, OMG, I think if you want to go for a sort of defensive support here, it's kind of now or never. But honestly, I look at the fact that the enemy team has a Jace. I look at the fact that you have this Volibear. I'd kind of like to see some engage in the support pick, but you could just lean in a different direction, pick a matchup for top, and they're going to do that with the Graves. So they now have a matchup that Shanji will be pretty comfortable in, but support still haven't been picked, and neither have mid laners. I feel like OMG, they get their choice of which one first, so they're in a good position here.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think OMG are keeping themselves relatively fresh. They've gotten pretty much counterpicking in every single lane. They got the Jinx into the Zeri. They knew they could pick that one into it. They got the Graves into the Jace. I will say the Trundle and Zeri combination is very, very good. Anything that can keep the Zeri alive, keep things off of her with the Trundle pillar, of course, the Q as well. Getting that bite down, slows down your opponents, keeps her going. That is very, very powerful for them. And for OMG, like you said, you're almost certainly going to get your support here and still have counterpick for mid for Cream.
Yeah, and honestly, I would kind of like to see them prioritize the mid first and get counterpick and support, unless there's something like really they're set on or they need. I feel like support matchup can make such a big difference. We've seen Zeri run over games when she's unchecked, and right now I look at OMG, they don't really have that great of tools to deal with her, so definitely some area of prioritization towards that. Now, LNG ban the LeBlanc, we often see things like the Ahri, the Vex being these high prior mid laners, but instead they ban the Nautilus, and this specifically is something that shuts down Zeri because you can't dodge, you can't outplay, the ult is on you, and it's like unless you have stopwatch, you're going to get hit by that, it's going to lock you in place. And now OMG, I feel like that would probably be the big one for me if you're going to prioritize support here. They could go for a mid pick, they could go for the Ahri, they could go for the Vex, they could go in that direction. But actually potentially going to look for support, and you know, this makes sense to an extent, but at the same time, I feel like this gives a free pass to LNG. Renata doesn't have the strongest lane, right? And you don't have that much engage now. LNG could even take something like a Yuumi in this situation if they really wanted. They could just take anything.
Yeah.
They have so much comfort in that regard, and it'll kind of show the dynamic of who they're looking to play through. If it's an aggressive support, we can expect them to put resources into bot.
Yeah, we could expect them to go for that and just kind of get this bot lane Zeri going for themselves. I will say Cream could technically look, they could look for the full team fights kind of skirmishing, could go for a Galio in that mid lane to maybe just kind of say, look, you're not going to win the laning phase, but we are just going to shut down any kind of team fight. And with the relative short range you have on LNG, you know, the Jace after his poke is going to want to try and jump onto you. Zeri very low range, the Trundle as well. Rakan gets locked in here, so again, very low range, but very good engage tools coming out from LNG.
Yeah, I think that's the thought process here. The fact they have the Trundle in the jungle, right, you kind of need some primary engage. Rakan isn't a lane that's massively going to punish Renata though, so OMG quite comfortable. And now looking for the mid lane pick, I feel like things like Vex, things like Syndra hold up here. I do feel like you don't have the greatest tools to get on top of the Zeri and answer. So Syndra makes a lot of sense because you range checks a lot of champions. If you're in range for Syndra to press R, you're not going to have a good time.
Yep.
It's that simple. So having someone that can potentially provide a lot of threat towards, like, if he steps up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Syndra's slowly, we saw a lot yesterday from Rookie. It's something that's kind of slowly creeping itself back into the meta, and it feels like it is just kind of one of those things. Nothing ever happened to the champion. Nothing was changed in terms of buffs or nerfs, but it's just kind of people kind of realize, oh yeah, this thing exists. And in terms of what we want to be doing in terms of controlling areas, like you said, the range checking, especially when you've got things in the meta like the Zeri, like the Ahri, that have these very low, well, not low range, but definitely definitive ranges that the R from Syndra will be able to definitively kind of hit onto. You got to be very careful.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing, is that the outplay potential is limited a fair bit. Now, just look holistically at the compositions. I feel like OMG are pretty comfortable, right? Syndra's going to have prio early against the Ahri. You have the Volibear, who's very good at setting up dives at level 6, right, into the side lanes, really good at ganking. And then in the bot lane, you have this Jinx Renata, who are going to have priority, and you can just play for them. And if you get this Jinx ahead, I mean, I don't have to explain how good of a win condition that is.
We know, we've all watched Arcane.
We've all watched Arcane.
We've all watched it.
We've seen what Bardock can do, right? So I think OMG coming into this have a bit of an edge. I absolutely think that there's tools for the other side for LNG. Like, if the Jace gets ahead, he can kind of run away with the game. We've seen what Zeri can do, and outside of that Syndra, there's limited tools. But ultimately, I think OMG have come out with a bit of an advantage here. And I want to see what this mid-jungle can do, because I think that's such an important thing, facing up against LNG. Because we constantly said Tarzan and Doinby, arguably best mid-jungle in the league. And they have had a hiccup mid-split that definitely raises some questions on that. Because I remember, start of the season, we were very confident in that claim.
Absolutely. This was two players that we said, look, this was a dream made in heaven, a matchup made in heaven, a dream come true for the side of LNG. And we'll see if they are able to make it work again. Like we said, OMG, they need to win this series to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Lose and you're out.
Yeah, lose and you're out. And for LNG, it's about getting as far up that table as possible. If you lose this, you could end up in 7th, which is first round, or if you win it, you end up in 4th, which is 3rd.
Yeah, so a lot of difference in that, and I think LNG know that. And again, I think another aspect to it is LNG, remember, they started the season 7-0. Their current scoreline is 10-5. Rough win-loss ratio to be going in on that sort of second half of the split. They absolutely need to show some positive play, because things have been a little bit hit or miss.
And this is the thing, we always kind of talk about momentum before nothing's really happening in the game, so we can talk about where these teams sit themselves in terms of the grand scheme of playoffs. You think of teams like Top Esports, JDG, V5, they're all hitting very strong momentum strides coming into the later half of the season.
V5 never stopped.
Yeah, V5 just kind of kept sprinting, even though it was a marathon. But for LNG, it did feel like they were on a massive upward trajectory, and it fell off a bit of a cliff. So today is going to be an important matchup for them, and specifically just to show that, look, we're ready for playoffs, and we weren't just, you know, a top of the, you know, start of the split kind of team.
100%. And that's a big thing for me, because people have high expectations for this lineup, and understandably so. We have seen Iwandi come back on the roster, so excited to see what he can do. Obviously, if anyone's not familiar, he's been smashing it in Korean solo queue, managed to get rank 1 with a crazy amount of LP. But we see things start to develop out, and I think the big thing is kind of prio for OMG, right? Bot lane, you have this double range advantage in the matchup. Syndra gets prio into Ahri quite comfortably early, and Graves as well. One of the big strengths of him is that he can just freely push those waves with those AoE autos. So for Tarzan, you have a lot of windows to gank as a result, because all lanes are kind of going to be pushed up at first. But it also means that, you know, if you get contested, you're not really going to have quick backup, right? If you try to contest a Scuttle and you run into Aki, Aki will have reinforcements first.
And this is the big thing as well. You can see with Tarzan going straight up from his red to his blue, and then Gromp, they have full knowledge of exactly where he is. They are pinging onto the volley bar. They haven't seen Aki, but they know that he's there, as though chickens have started to get very angry towards that brush.
They don't just assume the chickens are just having a little walk.
It'd be really funny, though, if randomly the camps just, like, walked away. You're like, there he is! And it's like, comes off bot or something.
You say funny, I say horrifically frustrating, but, you know.
There's a difference in mindset, you know, as a play-by-play versus somebody who, like, actively looks at the competitive scene.
Yeah, so now we've seen Tarzan actually potentially looking for a gank in the mid lane. Remember, it's an immobile Syndra, and you have a charm. If that connects, Cream's in trouble.
Oh, Cream's in a lot of trouble here. The pillar waiting to come down. They are just going to try to put themselves between the pillar, though. As we can see, Cream almost going down. Flashes just over the side of the ice pillar, but that's a summoner down. And now Aki, he might feel like he can go for a 1v1 here. And I don't know if you want to be winning this one here just yet, Aki. You need to be making sure this is why you picked the Trundle. You just don't have the early skirmishing power against him in the first few levels.
Yeah, and the critical thing as well is because Cream had to reset, Doinby was able to move, they have that advantage, and this is kind of the pivotal thing we need to talk about, right, was that OMG had that prio, but it did leave the lanes vulnerable. Tarzan found a great window to go in and attack that mid lane, and with it being an immobile Syndra, you're now on the back foot. Now Cream, for the next 5 minutes, there's always going to be that question mark of, okay, can I push up? Can I be in this position? Am I going to get threatened? And I like that Iwandi came up to help secure the crash of the wave. This is going to now bounce back, and it sets up future opportunities to punish. One of the big things I say when we see an early summoner burn is I want to see repeat ganks, repeat plays to punish.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't get the kill, but you get the summoner spell, and we can see now Iwandi getting a little greedy there for a little bit of a ward, but does keep himself safe. Got himself that battle dance, so he's going to be just fine. And the grand entrance, I believe. Too many entrances. It's like Unstoppable Onslaught and Unstoppable Force. I always get mixed up between those two. You know, similar ability names. Also, another pet peeve of mine. Blade of the Ruined King is an item, but it's also Diego's Q. And that's really annoying. That's really annoying as a play-by-play.
They are fishing. I think this is just Aki helping push the wave in. Essentially, the play there, we saw a big wave that was wanting to be crashed by Shanji. Aki was there in case Arla overstepped. He played a bit more restrained, respectful, but there is going to be a punish there where he's denied some minions. We're actually going to stop his recall, as you can see on the minimap, so a lot of time wasted here. And a bit of a farm disadvantage, but if an advantage going to Shanji, he should be able to pick up his first plate when he wants it as well, as it's already low. We saw Tarzan on the other side, but I love the respect from OMG's bot lane, not giving him any opportunity to answer on the other side of the map.
And I love what Aki's doing right here now. He recognizes that, look, this is where our strength is. You talked about those prios and those lanes in terms of top side of the map. So just making it as difficult as possible, because we know how much damage a Jace can do when he gets to those two items. When those accelerated shock blasts start to hit the back line, that's when you know this Jace is going to come online. So for OMG, it is about just keeping that pressure on, keeping Shanji in the ascendancy in this lane, and making it so, yes, you may have a couple of items on your Jace, but they can't leave the lane regardless.
Yeah, and I think a critical thing is both of these teams, well, I mean, I guess we have the Rakan on the side of LNG, but for OMG, they don't have like some stellar engage, right? If Jace ends up fed, he can just fire shock blast, and there's not that much risk of him getting punished, right? Graves isn't exactly the best flanker, so I would be really concerned if he got ahead. But now LNG, they're going to commit the resources to get this dragon. Don't think OMG can really contest, but they're looking for a fight.
Cold, what are you doing there, buddy? You're Renata. You are not exactly an engaged support, but now Cream without his flash, going to have to use the Unleashed power. Does get the Scatter of the Weak down with a flash and a heal there. Keeps Iwandi safe. The bailout does nothing. First blood goes over to the Zeri. Doomby getting some resets though. Cold does not have flash. Gets charmed up. OMG, what are you doing there?
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to stay. The dragon is already dead, but you overcommit, and critically, the flash had already been burned by Cream. They get the payoff for that, and Cold, that first ult charm from Doinby burns your flash, and you still overcommit and stay. Just a massive mistake, and we take a look at who the kills are on. That's rough.
Yeah, that is incredibly rough, and again, we probably will get a replay of it in the next few minutes, but this is just very, very weird setup here from OMG. Look, the dragon's dead. Cold, why are you going for those? Oh, Jesus.
You know, bad spot to be in, but then they stay, right? And Cream, just there's no way he gets out of this situation with the pillar there. They try and get the turnaround, but they're just committing for this longer play, and obviously Doinby gets the reset, can catch up to Cold quite quickly because there's no mobility on the Renata, and it's like, the dragon was gone. What was the goal there, right? I like the play from the top side from OMG, but but it feels like they got greedy and wanted to play both sides of the map in that play.
Yeah, you got to be able to. Unfortunately, there is a weak side.
Cut 'em loose.
Yeah, you just got to accept it that there is a weak side when you end up putting resources into one half or the other. So that's just how League of Legends works as a game. Now it's about a 500 gold lead. It's just really those 2 kills in the Dragon now in favor of LNG. But again, it's onto a Zeri. When the Zeri's able to get up to that Triforce, the Runans, you know, you get to a stupid amount of damage, and it is just very difficult to lock onto them, especially as you mentioned, OMG don't have exactly a traditional engage. They don't have a Leona. They don't have a Xin Zhao to jump right onto the back of your face. It is very much a kind of subsequent to, or kind of up to a debate depending on whether Cream can land his CC or not.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? If you have limited tools to deal with the Zeri, and one of them gets burned, let's say Cream uses the Scout of the Week early, uses the ult early, or he misses the Scout of the Week. Obviously, you can't miss the ult, fortunately. But it leaves a window where Light can just outplay. And especially if Light gets ahead, remember, Zeri builds quite tanky, right? You build the Titanic with the Triforce. You could just be at the point where you can actually soak the ult and not go down.
Oh, they're going to flash in. The Unleashed Power Doonby flashes.
He can't soak it.
But you cannot soak that damage. Point and click R, and that is a stat check if I've ever seen one.
And that's the strength that OMG have in that mid lane. That's what we want to see them play around. A little bit slow going. And obviously, didn't really see too much of that pressure early. It was really LNG found at mid, but I like that they get to this point where Cream can flex his muscles a bit. I will say this mid-game is where Syndra really spikes, right? Level 6, you get your roll. Level 9, your Q is maxed, big power spike. 11, you get 2 points in it. 13, you max your next ability. Remember, Syndra's passive, you get a big power boost when you max your abilities.
And then we just thought you talk about it there, the big power boost for OMG in the mid-game as we see an engage on bot side. Abel, though, coming in. Light not really joining in on this fight. It is going to be the flash burnt there by Abel as they both trying to keep this one alive. It is going to be difficult for the Jinx as Eri does have the priority, but you did pick into this matchup. Now Tarzan in on top of the Rift Herald, but Aki is in the vicinity and he knows he's there. But with priority in mid, this one becomes a little bit more dangerous. Oh, it's a Hex Flash. Hex Flash from Aki means they're going to get full prio into this top side. And Ala, I can't even blame him on this side. He's just getting bullied.
Yeah, I love the creativity, and you kind of see the payoff for that play earlier, right? 2 plates already down, and now they have the prio top. It's a 3v2 right now. LNG needs some backup. They're going to make this work.
There goes the Super Mega Death Rocket, but with the Zeri and the Rakan roaming up onto the map, that's not really going to be positioned. And also important to know, Iwandi just hit level 6, so he has access to the quickness. Was very dangerous for anyone in OMG to really think they can go for that, so it is going to be an objective towards LNG. But let's have a look at the replay on the bottom side. This is just basically the Jinx getting caught out, forcing a flash away, which again gives prio to that bot side to make that roam.
And I just love that it's like, okay, LNG bring the mid laner, and then OMG like, okay, we bring our top laner, and then LNG bring the bot lane, and then OMG are like,
it's
okay,
a game of top trumps.
Yeah, literally in that situation, and LNG end up having enough. They now have the Herald in pocket. Gold has kind of panned out evenly. I think the big thing is if you look towards the top lane, there's a pretty significant advantage to balance out the AD carry difference. Cream also getting that kill has a lead mid. So if you look at the gold, OMG are marginally ahead, right? But it's not a super large amount. And now with the Herald in pocket from LNG, that's where I really want to see things snowball. But we can see this top lane matchup looking rough for Ola right now. And I think that's kind of a good descriptor for Split so far. He hasn't had the best performance. I think a lot of people expected more, and hold that thought.
We're going to see an engage here. Iwandi is going to have himself the grand entrance out. Again, or the battle dance, get himself away from this particular fight. But 5 seconds till Dragon spawns, and that is going to be Iwandi very much chunked out of this fight. You still have flashes available for Cold and Cream, but none there for Aki as we got TPs coming up. But it's pre-14 minutes, so that's not going to be enough for them unless they go for a TP dive.
Yeah, so I think both teams just kind of backing away from this one, playing it a bit slow. Could see a contest come out over this Dragon. I feel like LNG get a second Dragon on top of having that Herald. Puts them in a really good spot coming out of this early game. You gotta be careful. Level 9 on this Syndra. Remember, her Q is maxed. You get bonus damage to champions. She's really strong right now, but LNG are still gonna start this up. Top laners don't have the Unleashed TP.
It's gonna be it. It's gonna be a Hex Flash over the wall. Dragon going down very low. He does not get the steal. That is secured by Tarzan. The kill comes in. The bailout is going to do nothing for the Volibear, but there's the Unleashed Power. Doesn't do a lot onto Light, who had got the heal in the back pocket, and now Cream is dead. It's 3 kills going over to the side of LNG with the side of the Zeri getting 2 of them. The charm lands. There's nowhere for Cole to go, and that's going to be a complete cleanup. 4 kills and the Dragon. LNG skyrocketing their gold lead.
Absolutely, and again, the Triforce from Light, the extra 300 health makes such a large difference at this point of the game when you're going up against something like a Syndra that has like a limited amount of damage with her burst rotation. But again, it's another question. OMG, right? They didn't get the dragon. They still commit to the fight. Just let Aki go, because now the payoff is we're seeing this Herald go bot. First tower, gold for light, massive. Yeah, it's humongous. And like, this is a replay, okay? There's two approaches to this. Either you go for the fight or you go for the dragon. They go for the dragon, right? They should just back off, but they still commit to the fight. Your jungler's already dead. Your Renata's used a W. Cream is flashing in, but look at Light's health. Even without the Triforce, that would have killed him.
He only had one ball on the ground, so it was a very... Normally we see a Syndra ult with like 4 or 5 balls literally on the last second before the first one despawns. It's very, very, you know, very mitigated damage because you are... It's kind of a sometimes ult, basically. It's basically how many, you know, balls you can get onto the ground and kind of go from there. But for LNG, this is just huge for them now. Light's just absolutely accelerated, going so fast into the right direction, already building up towards a Tiamat.
Yeah, and I think the thing is here, is if you lose that dragon, it kind of sucks for OMG, but it's just a dragon. But now they are 3k goal behind because they try to make the play out of the back end of it despite the jungler going down, and they lose that tower as well, so things are looking really rough. And LNG continuing that aggression.
Yeah, they're going to keep going on top of this, but Iwandi needs to be a little bit careful. Traps did not set in time. Cream trying to see if he can catch out Doonby, but does walk away with his life. That's just more plates going over to Light. They've got 25 seconds left on this one. They might be able to get one more wave at this. They could get another plate. And again, more and more gold going over. And normally when you see such a big commitment on one side, it usually means the bot side is getting hammered in by the other side of OMG. But not even that, because the Jace is covering.
Yeah, the Jace is fine with this. And look, there's a 600 gold lead with Shanji in the top lane. Not that significant, especially against the Jace. Everywhere else, LNG's ahead. And that lead P80 carries is just humongous. It's starting to get worrying already for OMG. We said they had this strong mid-jungle combo. We want to see momentum for them. Now they're starting to struggle. And again, something to highlight is that LNG have great pick potential with like the Ahri, the Rakan has good engage, to have that long-range poke. OMG just don't have great engage tools. So I really start to feel concerned when they fall behind, especially because if Syndra can't check Zeri, if she can't just blow her up the second she gets close, oh, Cream.
Yeah, Cream will land the Scout of the Week, but he is not long for this world. He even got Sanji coming in on a bit of a flank here as he kind of keeps himself alive. Has got the Immortal Shield Bow, which will be popped right now. The Ignite did go down by Iwandi, but it feels very scattered. It feels very uncoordinated from OMG. It's like they have these ideas, but no one's actually, you know, communicating exactly what they want to do.
I think the big thing is LNG are using their agency really well, really punishing Cream in a situation on the Syndra, and he just hasn't had the best game now. 1 and 3, and Doinby is facilitating a lot of these plays so far. 100% kill participation, both him and Tarzan, and that's what we kind of highlighted, right? It has been Iwandi as well, but it was this mid-jungle we talked about. OMG had that strength with the Syndra early. They weren't able to capitalize, and now they are really feeling the pain.
And the big thing I want to mention here is that for Ale, he was, you know, very heavily focused. He was very much, they put a lot of pressure on getting Shanji ahead. He's down like, what, 15 CS, 20 CS? Like, and not a single death. Like, this Graves isn't going to do a lot, as we just saw there. This Graves isn't going to be the difference maker, but an Eclipse now moving into a Muramana in terms of the Jace, that will be significant even when they jump into team fights, because like we mentioned earlier, those accelerated shock blasts will hurt regardless.
Yeah, and I just feel like they have limited answers. So for OMG, you kind of need LNG to make a mistake at this point, right? There is something to be said for the Renata ult. If the enemy team funnel into you, OMG have a pretty tight front to back, right? That's where the mistake can come in. If they push into you, you get a big ultimate off the Renata. You have things like the Scout of the Week, the traps. You have these strong backline carries. That's the opportunity, but you're hoping that LNG make that fumble. And right now, they are trying to move towards this dragon. Tarzan's finishing off the Herald on the top side. And I think the play here is you get the Herald, right? You throw it down mid to threaten the mid tier 1, and then using that pressure, you can rotate, secure that third dragon, which would be the Infernal Soul.
And while this is all happening, yes, you're getting bot lane turret, well done you, but look at top side, you're losing a massive wave of farm, and we talk about, you know, the difference between losing these, the experience differences such as Abel. Just get caught up, he gets the quickness in, but he flashes in with the cleanse. They're going to try and keep the Volibear alive, who has to use his ultimate defensively. They will land the hostile takeover as a flash comes in, but there's a lot of damage, and that's the amount of balls you need to get that ultimate to do work. As we can see now, the Unleashed power finally getting something done. In a 4v5 though, can OMG be able to kind of take this dragon and get themselves back on the map, because they do not have the mid lane pressure?
Yeah, and that was a mistake, honestly, from LNG, right? They will get the mid tower, but when you have that second Herald, it was probably a given anyway. You really should have got that and the dragon in this situation. Now
Light, but he pops down the ultimate. He's going to be very tanky, as we talked about before. It was going to be a fight on two fronts. They flash in. Azaki tries to keep himself alive, but he goes down as Shanji trying to 1v2 on the backside. Oh, OMG! It was so good until it was so bad. They tried a 1v3 against Light, and Light on the Zeri just shreds them.
You got a favorable play. You got the dragon. Why are you going for this fight, OMG? You're so far behind. You didn't have the tools left. And that's a big thing, right? We talk about with Zeri, do you have tools to answer? And they'd already been a ton of theirs. They didn't have the ultimate for the Syndra, and yet they opted into this play. That's the thing that I'm really questioning. Because I think LNG made a bit of a fumble, and then OMG just passes straight back to them.
Yeah, it was a fumble that went straight back into the hands of it, but there's another fight here is Charm, Everfrost, the knockup. He gets his immortal shield, but before he's even done any damage.
Yeah, and then Aki is like 30% HP when he runs in, and Light just doesn't care. And again, Cream doesn't have the tools to deal with the Zeri, right? Scout of the Week, I mean not Scout of the Week, the ultimate there, the Unleashed Power would make such a big difference. And that's the thing, right? I think LNG kind of fumbled it by going for that engage when they could have just taken the tower and the dragon. It does mean that it's going to be a bit of a while longer before we get the soul, but I don't think LNG care. Look at the goal difference right now, just under 6,000. And look at this Zeri. Just look at the Zeri difference, right? 2 items, nearly 3 at this point already. And you compare that to Cream, who has just the Ludens, you are not going to be killed as Zeri, right? No. The fact that there's a Titanic and the Triforce, I think
but
at this point,
very soon.
Look at the health bar, right? She's got the same health as Trundle.
Yeah, who's built a Randuin's Omen and a Frostfire Gauntlet.
Yeah, this is why this champion's so insane,
this champion is a little busted on this current patch. Of course, we are on 12.4. We will be moving to 12.5B, where she did take some smite nerfs, but
they
still
nerfed pretty much everything.
Yeah, they pretty much nerfed her across the board. But
and she still looks good.
Yeah, she still looks pretty damn good. But this is the thing now, as we can see, Light honestly has been a bit of a fantastic carry for the side of LNG. Yes, LNG have had bad games, but honestly, in my opinion, I think Light's been fantastic, pretty much all split. He really has looked solid in certain, like Aphelios, Jinx, and Zeri, the meta picks, he's looked great.
I feel like Light has probably been the most consistent member on LNG, which I would have given to Tarzan, but he actually had some rough series, which was, I said at the time, very surprising. He is normally very, very good, even if the team is struggling. But it's good to see them sort of bounce back in this regard, right? Arla hasn't had the best game, but he's kind of been left to just absorb pressure, and the rest of the team have been very proactive, particularly this mid-jungle support. Speaking of mid, don't even be looking for Shanji. I think he just gets it.
Yeah, he's got 2 more charges of the Spirit Rush, but with the Immortal Shield Bow being popped, I mean, he almost got him. It was very, very close to the end of it there. He gets the Immortal Shield Bow and he backs himself away, but the rest of OMG need to start figuring out where they want to bring this map. Tarzan is rushing down here, recognizing that he might have an opportunity if he can pop down the frozen terrain, but he doesn't quite catch out where Shanji is, doesn't know exactly where he is. Oh, the Fog of War. She's a terrible mistress, as they do not get up that kill, as OMG survive a little bit longer, but I think that's the best way I can put it, survive. That's the best way I can put it right now, because LNG are just so much further ahead. They're so much farther accelerated with a 6,000 gold lead.
And that's the thing. Sometimes going for plays like this, having jungle on the bot side.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, we do see Light going to go straight back in, and they're going to be able to kill off Sanji pretty damn easily. They even TP Doom be there just for safe measure.
And the thing is, normally, a team commits this heavily to the bot side, especially when the jungler's there. It can be so risky because the Baron's on the other side of the map. But LNG know OMG are going to do Baron, right? They take the tier 2, they get the extra gold. You see 325 with both of those carries. And are any of OMG going even vaguely close to the Baron? No. So it just shows how far behind OMG are and how they just aren't confident with these plays.
I mean, they're going to go for the charm, double charm, and oh my god! Cream just gets assassinated, and the Unleashed Power did
he ulted, I won!
He ulted Iwandi, and it just wasn't going to do anything.
He's
there.
full HP! My lord.
It's just a bit of a bad time for OMG. Looks like this game is almost all but over. They are getting their base cracked open at just over 21 minutes, and LNG, this is a statement game. This is what we wanted to see from them coming into the playoffs, because they look good right now.
Yeah, this is convincing, right? And at this point, nearly 10,000 ahead, just 9,000. Third Dragon coming up in 30 seconds. There was that one little fumble where I think they could have played it better, but it was being consistent. And this is kind of what we need from LNG, not just in the series, but for them going into playoffs. Remember, no matter what the outcome of the series, LNG will be in playoffs. Their seeding can swing pretty heavily, but it is OMG who are on the back foot. If they lose this game, they cannot lose another in the series, or they will not make playoffs.
A single target just hits the Trundle Pillar, which then slows them. They get over the wall, the knock-up, which then brings them into the charm, which then brings them even further. And
the pick potential.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. LNG have the tools. Now, set up for Dragon. It's just under, it's about 8k gold lead for LNG.
Oh, okay, they get the dragon secured. Tarzan is going to pop his subjugate and keep himself relatively tanky. You can see him fluctuating, but on the backside here, Light's just found himself Cream, and that's going to be a dead Syndra. The heal comes out, as you can see Light trying to make this one work. He dashes over to try and get on top of him, but he can't just go down just yet. Finally, he gets taken out. It's a 3-for-1 at the moment in favor, 4-for-1 at the moment in favor of LNG. They lose the dragon, but let's be real, they got everything they wanted.
And they go mid. They might just look to end. It's only Aki left available.
You have a Jace.
Yeah, there's a super minion as well. I think they can just go for this.
I mean, how does Aki defend this?
Yeah, he really... He has to clear the minion. He does have a smite, so he just has to go for it
But there's
now.
another wave. That's the problem right now.
Oh,
He's another
God.
wave to try and deal with this, and I just don't think he's going to have enough. That being said, the towers are doing some decent work. They'll take away one of them, and his brother, sadly, shall be finding
Cream's
himself in the
here.
same fate, as Cream is finally here. He died so early in that fight, his death timer was up before they could end the game.
That's why he died early. Good call.
Big brain, big brain. Die early, get back to defend the base. So, again, OMG survive, but 10,000 gold behind. This game is just getting harder and harder as we look at the replay.
Yeah, so here, LNG commit the dragon.
Great
Tarzan
traps.
is kind of trapped there and isn't able to do anything, has to flash over the wall at the end. Light just jumps on Cream, and we were talking about how the Syndra needs to be there to check the Zeri. Full combo, even with the amount of balls available, only just halves Light's HP. Over here, we see Doinby, impossible to play Jinx in that 1v1 scenario. And although we do see the Zeri go down, it's 1,000 gold for the Volibear. You don't care about 1,000 gold on the Volibear at this point. The fight was a big loss. They did get a dragon, that's something, but they're still 9,000 gold behind. Their base is in shambles. One more lost fight from OMG, and that is game done.
And this is how you got to be. For OMG, it's about hoping LNG make mistakes. It's about, again, getting those 2 dragons. That's
Yes.
great. You got yourself
Several consecutive mistakes.
Several in a row is what you're looking for. But
I want to highlight
yes.
the 80 carry items. So you see on the side, Abel has 2
And a half. Well, 2
and
and
a
a third.
half. Yeah, and then Light has like 3 3/4. That is concerning for me.
It's a bit of an oof.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of an oof.
Not ideal.
Not ideal, not ideal, but it is a Jinx, and Jinx is protected by plot armor in
Yep.
Arcane, so
Yep.
it's how it has to go. And we will see where they want to try and make this fight a last stand. You got to feel like right now their base has been opened up in mid lane, but the inhibitor will be spawning back in 2 minutes' time. That shock blast, we talked about it earlier, but here it is in fruition. They're going to go straight in. They're going to land the Everfrost, the Charm, maybe try and go for this. But Light kills him with the ultimate. Cream has been nothing but a shadow this game. There's the hostile takeover, trying to turn this one a little bit more in their favor. But Shanji, you're walking too far forward because you got charmed, and it's just death. Love can bring you nothing but pain, my friend. And now LNG will finally take themselves the win. They're going to pad the stats a little bit more, but that was dominating from start to finish.
And Cream had such a rough game, I gotta say. And the thing is, you go in this one and you have to bounce back from this. There's no choice. If OMG want to keep their playoff hopes alive, if they want to keep the split going, they can't drop another game in the series. And after that one, you know, there's some games you come out and you go, okay, this went wrong, this went wrong, this went wrong. We can adjust this, we can change that, right? This game, you're like, okay, well,
everything kind of went on
let's
fire.
start with what went right.
And then let's
Okay.
move on.
You know, and I think I even said coming out of draft, I felt like OMG had an advantage. I wanted to see this mid jungle perform. I think they had the early game tools. They definitely had a bot lane that you could set up for success, and nothing came from it.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you know, I will say there was a bit more agency around the map, right? The Ahri unlocked at level 6, the Rakan as well. We saw LNG do a lot with that, but man, OMG just felt like they did nothing.
Yeah, that's how it felt. It felt like the Renata got through laning phase and then basically was nothing. It didn't really do anything for them. The Graves got so much prio and so much resources to him. Again, Shanji didn't really do a lot, in my opinion. I think Allah just did his job, which was soak up. That was it. Just don't die. And that's exactly what he did. So it wasn't about him.
Don't
at the end
die
of it.
and then be a Jace late game.
Literally be a Jace late game. You can see even there, like, he almost does as much damage as Shanji, and it just becomes harder and harder for the side of OMG to do anything. And yes, you got 2 dragons, good on you, but you need resources. You saw how useless Cream was in those ultimates.
100%. And I gotta say, as much as Light was the main beneficiary of these scenarios, it was very much mid-jungle. This is the LNG we saw at the start of the split. This is what we hope from them. Doinby just able to be super proactive, make things happen on the Ahri in this one, and then Tarzan in the jungle really solidifying. I gotta say, Iwandi synced with that so well. There was that point, it sort of coming in the mid game where all 3 of them 100% kill participation. It felt like they were a unit. And it's so refreshing to see from this team who have struggled a fair bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And they struggled in the most recent series. You know, this is where, as you said, they started 7-0. They've now moved up and they're starting to pick up some more games. And again, this puts them into top 4. If they can win this series, regardless of all results, they lock in top 4, which then moves them from the first round all the way up to the third. So there's a lot of different movement that could probably come out from this. And for LNG fans, that's a good move. It's a good thing to have. And, you know, even though
winning is good.
You know what? That's exactly how we could put that.
Yeah, we wrap it up.
Yeah,
winning good.
Winning, nice.
Losing, bad.
Yeah, losing not so great. Well, we'll see if LMG will continue to lose or if they can get that winning good feeling after the break as we go into game 2. We'll see you soon.
Have the restraint to not just go for the Drake and see if they win the smite fight. If Carson can take this one, it will be a fertile soul for B5. Here we go, jumps in, it's a 50-50 and Care gets it, pulling time across the team. Care goes down. Xiaolahu in the midst of everyone trying to get the damage out, trying to throw some needles, but it's not enough. And now Rookie here for the cleanup, trying to get further into the fray. There's another one going down. B5, I don't know how they've done it, but done it they have. Xiaolahu eradicated. B5 gets the ace.
For the AD carry, and now RNG are a little bit caught between a rock and a hard place. There is the Kennen ultimate all on top of the back line. As we can finally see Bin join this fight, but look at Gala free hitting now on this backside. This area is just getting so much free reign as Bin needs to use the hexagonal momentum to try and keep himself alive. Hacker just has to back away as look at Gala go. He's getting these resets. He's getting himself ramped up and ready to go. Shousey needs to try and back himself away, but you cannot run from this massive triple kill. Gala steps up huge.
But BLG walk with the dragon. They're ahead in the team fight so far, but this fight's not ending.
Okay, they go grabbing him as well. Uzi eating up for a second. Chris will throw him out with a massive shield. He now gets reset. It's a bait. Elk walks into the trap, and Uzi and Chris deal with him, but no.
What? Wait.
Somehow, Elk gets it. Chris is going to be next. A triple kill. What the hell did we just witness?
And now Drake up in 10 seconds time. You see the whole of EDG already moving over. Leyen might just have been caught. He gets out to safety, pulls himself into the brush. That could have been disaster. Esplandre has no fear, but he has no health. Go Scout! That was unbelievable. Solar flare onto you, Yanja, EDG. Nothing happens for 30 minutes, and then they come alive. Tarzan might just go for a 50-50 smite here. He doesn't actually have that much to lose. If EDG get the strike, it doesn't matter too much for LNG. The 50-50 goes the way of Allah in the end. And now the fight ensues. Tarzan turns gold and Flantre in the middle of everyone. Maybe this is it for EDG. 2 kills, 1 for Viper. Is Dunby trying to escape, but the realm walk forwards. Can they find any more? Scout turns gold and keeps himself alive. Allah stunned against his support here, but Light charging forward, getting the resets. Bail out onto Viper. Viper falls though. JJ in the back line. Light turning it around. Mako alone, and LNG somehow find it.
Guess who's back to blow your mind? But let me warn you one last time. Guess who's back to change your life? But it's not gonna be just fine. Whoa, I've got you under my spell tonight. Whoa, we're both heading to hell tonight. So don't ever listen to a word they say. It's time that you found out that I'm gonna get my way. Won't light it up, then I'll burn it down. I'm gonna make you feel like you're invincible when the one's around. practically quiet. But I can only take so much, and then I just explode. To feel it building inside, then I just need to let go. So don't ever listen to a word they say. It's time that you found out that I'm gonna get my way, okay? I'm gonna light it up, and then I'll burn it down. I'm gonna make you feel like you're invincible when no one's around. I'm gonna build you up, and then I'll strike you down. 'Cause you're about to know it's nothing personal. Sometimes good people do bad things. Sometimes good people do bad things. Sometimes good people do bad things.
You walk down the streets and see different faces with a hope within the chase. They reach out for love and for freedom forever. Do you remember how it feels? Let's walk for a while with a face full of smile until sadness disappears. When weakness overcomes you, face it, go through, and the peace as they come, it will go further now. Spring arms wide open in the middle of the storm. Whoa, you fulfill it right now. Set a goal for yourself. This is still not the end. And pull it through now. Every pain that you feel comes to an end oh so soon. The time has come now. No, it's not the time to quit. Put yourself together, whoa. And listen right now. Don't care about the tears, all your problems. I'll be there for you in the middle of the night. And I don't care about all of these hard times. I keep pace with you, 'cause your rest is shining bright. Let's walk for a while with a face full of smile until sadness disappears.
We're back. Welcome back, one and all, to the LPL. We are on to week 10, technically, day 2. So start to final out the last 2 series of the split. There's Suzhou in China, but we're not in Suzhou in China. We're in Dublin, Ireland, in my office. Hello, Ox.
Yes,
in
hey.
all your presence.
Yeah, I'm
and
here.
glory.
I can touch you. Yeah. So,
yeah,
you know,
LNG
if you
were
missed
good.
it because it was quick, LNG stomped OMG. I don't think there's another way to really phrase that. Didn't even look that close. And yeah, that's.
I mean, what else is there to say?
That's a summary.
There's a summary. They got absolutely stomped. But you know what else is even more of a summary? They got stomped because of someone on a Zeri. And that Zeri was Light, who was able to 1v3, I'm pretty sure, at one point at that particular game. That was an incredible game. He will be our MVP for Game 1. And yeah, I honestly 10-1-4, Light and Zeri doing Light and Zeri things.
And, you know, I gotta say, this was kind of the payoff of the rest of the team really setting him up, right?
Yes.
And I think Light is a great player to put resources into because he's so consistent, but a lot of good work from LNG on the boss side of the map to make him so strong. And then it just felt like OMG didn't have the tools to deal with him when he got ahead, right? You know, I think the sort of, like, the ult comes in here from Cream, and I know he didn't have the balls stacked up, but the fact that Light still has like 30% HP left, and this is early in the game before he has like the Titanic Hydra as well for extra health, and it just felt like he had free reign in this game, especially as Cream fell behind. You see another point here where, again, up against 3 people, Cream didn't have his ult, didn't have the tools, and that's the major thing. When I see a Zeri, I am like, there is some counterplay, but you need tools to deal with her, and ideally you want multiple, so if one's on cooldown, she doesn't just get free reign.
You just need better forms of engage, I think is the best way I can put it. With it. There was so many, if they smashed the laning phase, if the Syndra, the Graves, the Jinx, and the Volibear had just accelerated absolutely crazily ahead, maybe there's a world where you're like, okay, the Zeri can't walk up, the Zeri can't get best out of the ultimate, can't really constantly get
Zeri wasn't 10-1.
Maybe we could do something with it. Yeah, maybe. You know what?
And
I'm not trying to be, massively out there with those kind of statements. I like to be a bit more conservative. But yeah, it does feel like OMG need just trying to maybe get a better ease of execution. I'll be totally honest. I think simple is sometimes better. Go for a front to back. Go for something that can maybe work out a little bit more in your favor. And this is it. I don't like saying it. Actually, no, never mind. I love saying it, but it's a trope. It's do or die. You lose this, you're out. Your season is done, regardless of tomorrow.
And I don't know how you feel about this, but when things have gone so rough and you struggle against the Zeri, going into game 2, same bans, Zeri open again, a little bit concerning. But now they are looking at potentially Tristana, maybe the Draven. We did see that picked against the Zeri, and I think it's the thing. Jinx will scale up well if you give her resources, but there are lanes that will specifically punish and bully Zeri's weak early game. And I think the best examples, we had the RNG against EDG game, where it was a full composition, everything was designed to deal with it.
Zeri. And that's your win condition. And honestly, for OMG, I think that's what you go for. I think you go for deal with the Zeri. Things like the Tristana, the Ahri able to jump in. Ahri not so much, but definitely in the laning phase. I would love to see a combo up with a Nautilus or even a Leona.
Yeah, Ahri can dash in, but one of the big things is that, skill shots against Zeri can be a little bit tentative, especially if she's likely to take cleanse, if there's enough CC for her, and you have that movement speed to play around with. Now, LNG toying with her options here. Now, this Karma, it could be mid, right? We have seen going play in the mid lane, could also be support, comes in as a potential flex, and it's something that can test prio against the Ahri. They are looking towards that Volibear potentially for Tarzan, that early pressure afforded by the pick.
I like this as well from LNG. Doonby has played the Karma quite a few times this split. It can go mid. It could also go to Iwandi and bot side to kind of say, look, we're going to give a light protection on this area, and also gives you a pushing lane. So it does mitigate a lot of what you can do. But OMG say, look, we got to take our jungler now. They're taking the Viego into this particular matchup. So you've got yourselves what could be the AD carries, the jungles, and then the mid laners here for OMG and LNG. But LNG still having that flex available.
Yeah, but for OMG, I look at the comp so far, and I'm like, you get 1 kill, you're golden. Reset mechanics in all 3 champions. It is about taking a target down and then using that momentum to follow on. And that target Zeri, even better. Now, OMG going to ban away that Jace makes complete sense. As much as the Jace didn't have too much time to be impactful, it's still a thorn on your side when it gets in the later stages. It's also a solid blind for Arya in this situation. They are going to ban the Nautilus. We talked last game about how it's great against Zeri, that point-and-click aspect. We'll see what OMG opt to go for if they want to ban away another top laner in this situation. I think that's the thing with the Karma being a flex, being support or mid. Maybe they feel like bans towards either of those could be a little bit wasteful, but we'll see they feel this, feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we didn't really get to talk about it, but it was the exact same picks and bans for basically the first start of the game. Obviously, they changed the Jinx for the Tristana once the Zeri was picked, but the Rakan banned away here. I like this. Waiwandi was just been proving that he doesn't have to play for the lane. He is a roaming support. It's something that we saw for him last play, even in Worlds in 2021 as well. He was constantly linking up with Tarzan. It's what made this team so feared in international and domestic stages.
Yeah, and LNG, I would actually think an Alistar would be a decent ban here, right? A lot of people pick that into the Zeri. We've seen a rise in priority. The thing with Leona is, as much as she's a good engage support, you need to land your skill shots, either your E or your R, and also cleanse counters effectively. But looks like in the end, they are just going to end up going for that Graves ban. OMG, a lot of teams would pick Alistar in this situation. They're going to commit to the Leona, so I fully expect that Light is going to have cleanse here, which gives them a bit of outplay potential on the Ahri and the Leona. And it does mean you're very reliant on Cold having a good game. If he misses those skill shots, Light gets free reign.
And the last game, I got to admit, Cold was a shadow and nothing. He was muted. He didn't really do anything. Now, I will say that Renata not exactly renowned for her engages, unless you're Hylissang.
It took me a second, and I was like, what was Cole
Yeah,
playing?
literally, it was like, wait, hang on, who was he? Because again, he just wasn't really a part of this game. But you mentioned the Alistair. This time around, it's not going to be against the Zeri, it's going to be comboed with the Zeri.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good in Leona because essentially, if she dives in on you, you can knock her up, you can knock her away, you can knock her AD carry away. So many options to play around with when there's a melee champion up in your face. Now for top lane, we'll see what Ole wants to pick up. I like this Camille for 2 reasons. One, it's so good into Ahri, right? It's really frustrating to play against it if it locks you in that ultimate, but also it denies it from the other side. When I was talking about that EDG RNG game, Camille was one of the picks that came in as an answer to Zeri to keep her locked, to stop her from being able to just kite around. And now, the top lane pick for Shanji, there's options here in this situation, right? We've seen a variety of things in the Camille. We've seen Jax, we've seen Fiora. You could even just take something like the Gnar in this matchup. There's a range of things. We'll see what he goes to, because Shanji is the sort of player that plays things a little bit different. I feel like the Kennen would actually, you know...
There he is.
Kennen would be a decent one as well, because, you know, you can just... If you get a good flank onto the Zeri, I know she's going to have cleanse, and that is one thing. There's going to be so much cleanse value this game. But the big AoE ultimate does so much damage, and you can't really avoid it too easily.
And that's the thing as well. You look at the side of LNG, Camille, Volibear, Alistair, all things who want to jump in on top of you, be in that close proximity. The AoE ultimate, the Slicing Maelstrom, will do a very good job of just even giving time to get the rocket jump out, to let the Ahri Spirit Rush a little bit further away, maybe even get time to the Leona to reposition and put themselves between a rock and a hard place to defend their carries. There's a lot of good potential moves here for the Kennen. As I said, though, it is down to about the execution. No, you know, kind of fluffing it up or, you know, making it sound nicer. You got stomped. You got absolutely wrecked in game 1. And OMG, this is your season. This is your entire spring split on the line in this literal one game. And the thing is, this one game, even if you win, it only gives you another chance. You have basically got 1 game left in the next 2 games to try and win this.
Yeah, I mean, it can all end here. And obviously, that matchup tomorrow could just be a big deal for RNG, not so much for OMG. Or they can continue it, and it's on this game. This is the last opportunity. I think compositionally, you know, I'm not 100% sold. I do think that taking Alice themselves could have had a lot of value. I feel like bot lane, independently in the 2v2, I don't expect them to find too much success. I think they kind of need outside impact. And when you're up against, you know, the likes of a Karma who's going to pry early, a Volibear who's really good at setting up those plays in the side lane, especially into a Viego, I'm tentative, right? I felt more confident in OMG's lineup game 1. It's really going to come down to them having a strong start. And particularly, I will say, Tristana, in this matchup, you have to win lane, right? You have to come out ahead. It's not enough just to let Zeri farm up.
And that's the big thing. You pick the Alistair into a Leona and Tristana. Your level 2 isn't as great. You take Pulverize and all of a sudden Headbutt or something that can just basically mitigate that entire combination. And there's not really a lot else for you to do there as OMG. You've kind of gone in, you've wasted everything. That's why I think Alistair into something like a Tristana is so good at just stopping that first early level, because Tristana is one of those weird champions where it's like early game, extremely strong. Mid game hits a massive trough before she starts hitting those big items, and then late game becomes that big crit AD carry we all know.
Yeah, I think the big thing is if you have that momentum, it can go such a long way in. I feel like even the fights as well will be very momentum based. If there's a long extended fight, you get loads of value out of the AoE shields from the Karma, the reset and the mantra. Things like the Camille and the Zeri get a ton of value in those longer fights, especially Zeri ramping up. On the other side, OMG, you want those snap big moments. You get a kill, you get the reset, momentum achieved, fight looking good. And I think that's going to be sort of a mix up from how we see these fights develop now. You see Aki starting on the top side of the map. I want to see attention towards the bot lane. It might need, though, a bit of TLC towards the mid lane to set that up, right? We saw Tarzan have that good AD gank in game 1, and that really allowed Greenbee to have the advantage to spread that pressure.
Yeah, again, this is what we talked about so many times. We talk about these two players, is the Tarzan and Doomby getting pressure. It's never about them 1v1ing you to death. It's never been a rookie thing for the side of Doomby. I see that. There's going to be the head buff coming out after a missed Zenith Blade came in there from Cold, but back to my point, like, Doomby has never been a destroy you in lane kind of guy. He's very much a kind of guy that says, look, I get a little bit of pressure and then smartly move around the map. Smartly move my pressure with my jungler to create these little pockets of opportunity. So curious to see what he's able to do with that one, as we can see the Xenoblade coming in here. But this is what I'm talking about. You can't do anything because you have got the headbutt pulverized. But I'm saying that though, I want one more auto attack and he's dead! That's the start you wanted to be seeing, and most important of all, it went to the AD carry of OMG.
And it's just overzealous, right? You headbutt away, but they hit level 2 first, and I talk about this matchup being fine, I talk about it being able to mitigate, it's when you get to level 2, when you have the 2 tools to play around with, when you have the E as well at level 3, the trample, level 1, Alistair is a liability, and he gets punished.
And not only that, you used the exhaust, the flash. I was going to say the heal, but Light doesn't have it. He actually went with the cleanse like you talked about because he knows he's the carry. But this is a big momentum shifter here. But look at the timing of this as well. They go in with the Xenoblade, knowing that one more minion, and he gets level 2 so they can re-engage on this.
Yeah, but I think the critical mistake for me in my mind was one, the knockaway. I don't know how necessary it was to go so instantly because it commits your body in. Also, I wonder he didn't haste to get out, right? He also got flashed early. There's a lot of things he could have done, but it just felt very casual about it, and it really got punished there.
It really did. Well, speaking of punishing, we can see Shanji and Ala trying to go in. I will say the Camille will have a pretty decent time in this matchup, even though it is range versus melee, because you do get the true damage procced, of course, the magic damage shield off of the Q. So lots of ways you can kind of mitigate that damage, and it is going to force a little bit of a reset there from Shanji. Should be able to use his teleport, though, to get himself back into lane.
I think Second Wind and Doran Shield's just broken. I think it's Kennen, one of the big nerfs that originally took Kennen out of the net meta was they toned down his base AD a lot to stop his harass. Oh, hold that thought.
Here we go. There's going to be a double knockdown. They're going to go straight on Taiwan. They're trying to get from the resets are coming in, and they are just bullying this bot lane right now. Aki was in the perfect position, and they are just making sure this bot lane goes perfectly.
And I'd love to see it. This is what we wanted. Momentum for the bot lane, attention put down there. OMG organically found their advantage in the 2v2, but now they're repeating the pressure, and that's the thing with this Alistair. When he's behind, when he's flashless, he's kind of easy just to jump on and keep going for these plays. Now Tarzan's looking towards the top side, try and make something happen, but Shanji's full HP, and he has a back of Arlis, so I don't think a dive would work here.
I think this is a very risky setup here, but they're going to maybe look for it. Yeah, I don't think the minion wave's with you either. I don't think this is what you want to be going for. I think it was more just we could do it, but, you know, it's a show of thought. Sometimes it's not about doing it.
I love how he just runs past with the sirens going, like,
woo, 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 on with your day, woo, woo.
Literally.
Sorry, sir, I didn't mean to scare you. But, again, this is good from Shanji. Just stopping these backs means that he's able to kind of keep the wave going. And, again, it's not going to mean anything in terms of, like, massive CS differences or experience differences. All it's going to mean is that it's a delay of back, and it's also going to mean that OMG now have a slightly bigger window of opportunity.
Yeah, and really, you know, things have started a lot better for OMG in this game. It's early days, by all means,
Say that again.
but game one, it was horrific so early on, and it just completely fell out of control. So the fact they got the start and they're leaning towards the win conditions, that's a big thing. This bot lane being ahead, and also we are approaching the critical point where OMG's mid-jungle spikes. So the thing with Volibear and Karma, their level 3 is really strong, right? Obviously Volibear does spike at 6 with his ultimate for dives, but Karma, the power increase is not big. Ari and Viego get insane power spikes at 6. They get the reset potential coming in, the fact that you can obviously re-ult on both of them when you get a takedown, and just the power having those affords them. This is now where OMG can really start to take over the map if they want.
Shanji.
I think he's still in the wave.
I think he thought the Camille was going in.
No way, dude.
Yeah. It's so funny how, like, you will give certain players the benefit of the doubt, and I'm just like, that looked like a hook shot was going in. I don't know. Maybe you want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I feel like that's a bit of a... I don't think he needed to do it for 3 minions.
I mean, you get the fast reset, you go back to base, and the thing is as well, he's not going to be joining a fight, right? So
I know, but my point is, okay, look, you know what? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. You've convinced me. You've convinced me.
This is. If it was other roles, I'd be like, but this is a top laner. He knows I am not doing it. I mean, think about last
14
game.
14 minutes? No? Okay, we're golden.
Think about what happened last game as well.
0-0-0-0.
Nothing, right? They know that they are on their own. They can do what they want, right?
Maybe I'm just too cynical. Maybe I'm just too cynical. Maybe I'm too much of a flamer. Just like, oh my god, you ulted, what the hell? No, I can't gank. Why would I gank a Camille anyway? Anyway, as we come back into the game, OMG did take themselves the Dragon. Cream needs to be a little bit careful here. He does take a hell of a bad trade there into Doonby, and that's just what the Karma does. You're going to have perma push priority no matter what.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We haven't seen Cream be able to get free, right? He had the syndrome last game where he was the one the prio, ultimately got punished in a gank, wasn't able to do much. But the second he finds a window, he's not TPing mid with full health, full mana, so maybe he can try and find Prio here, the reset from Doinby, and then look to move and set up a play. This is where I want to see OMG's mid-jungle really start to impact the map. Ults in hand, they are a lot stronger than Doinby and Tarzan right now.
Here we go. Xenoblade does miss, though. As Cold was thinking about it, they are just clearing the wave nicely here. Tarzan, though, knows that something is up. He knows that this is where the side of OMG are going to be focusing, because guess what? If the Volley Bear's level 6, Aki's level 6. That's how that trade ends up going. So he just covers his lanes and makes sure that nobody is going too untoward. Level 6, though,
Cold,
for Light.
Just, like, Cold walked so far up. If Tarzan had stayed, like, 5 seconds longer, Cold was dead.
Yep.
Just flat out. So a little bit precarious there, a little bit risky, but ultimately doesn't get punished. Yeah. If you want to say that.
I mean, if you're giving the benefit of the doubt for top lane, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt for supports. Calculated. That's how we got to say this one here. But Shanji, now having priority in the top side, recognizes that there is no TP here for the side of Ala, so he gets himself up, gets himself a plate. We're looking at about a 1,500 gold lead, and yes, it was an early extended here from OMG, but they don't need to be super aggressive for everything because they got the advantage they wanted. They got to be able to say, look, bot lane is doing just fine. Now we need to start moving around and picking up these global objectives.
Yeah, it's about 600 gold lead between 80 carries, and now they're going to move up towards the Herald and take that. But you see on the side, LNG are making the active decision not to contest, right? You can see that from the fact that they haven't moved Light. They do put some coverage in mid, so they can't just instantly translate into Herald play. But it means Light gets some alone time to push in the tower. Now, what he won't get is any plates, right? So OMG making a really good move when they had Cryo bot, which means they end up not losing out on the bot side of the map, really. And in fact, you can see Abel will catch that wave. So as much as LNG make the right call not to contest, OMG don't actually lose anything and handle this quite smoothly.
Yeah, they really, really do handle it quite smoothly. And for OMG, what do you want to see them doing? We've seen them taking the Dragon, they have the Rift Herald. Where's the next port of call for them to keep this solid momentum moving in their favor?
Well, I think if they can set up like a 4-man in the side lane, get a whole tower, get that golden Able, great. If not, just throw that Herald down mid, continue this momentum, and then when it comes to second Herald, that's where you get that mid-tier 1 and open up the map and set up for potential flanks from things like the Kennen.
Just remembered as well in my head, I was thinking about, you talk about second Herald, it's like Lord of the Rings, yes, but what about second breakfast? You know, it's just like, you've already had Herald, yes, but what about second Herald?
You know, you're not wrong.
I'm just saying it because it literally, this is how my brain works. It's like, it picks up something and I have an entire conversation of like, where have I heard something relatively similar to that? Let's move into that tangent for some reason. It's an interesting one, but I'll see if I can work it into
I was a big fan of 11s. Yeah.
11s? What was 11s? We never had them in Ireland.
Dude, it's just a thing that Mary and Pippin say to each other. Like second breakfast, 11s, brunch, supper.
Is that an English thing?
I don't know.
Okay.
it's a Hobbit thing.
It's a Hobbit thing. I'm sorry. I did not realize the Hobbit setup. But Aki running straight over a ward. He needs to be careful though. The priority is going to be with the Karmas. He's going to run straight through it, but they have got vision on him. He does have the Heartbreaker available to him should he need it, and he does in fact need it. So he gets himself over the wall, doesn't gain anything, just loses his ultimate.
Yeah, and you know, they have the Herald in play. It'll be interesting to see where they throw it down. Mid is often the safe one, especially against a Karma which has so much wave clear. A lot of value if you can get that mid-tier 1 down, and it's going to take work. There's not really much damage done to it so far. You'll probably need this Herald and the next one to take it, but for now it looks like team set up for Herald, right? And we've just seen Aki use his ultimate. Cream is pretty low on mana, but he's going to get the blue buff. Ultimately, this is a situation where I think OMG don't have all the power they necessarily want, right, without having that ultimate, but they still feel confident. They're going to try and get control of the area. Might actually look for I1D. They can go for this.
I mean, they can 100% commit onto him here because you've got everything available to you. He's going to have to ult and flash. That is all of your engage and all your front line basically gone. You can't fight this now. You have to back away. And not only that, but in the mid lane, we are going to see priority given over to Cream. So I got to give props for Cream. You know, he had a pretty rough game 1. He's come back in on the Ahri. Looks far more comfortable and far more in control of what he's able to do in this lane.
100%. And one thing to note is, like, I'm looking at this Karma in the mid lane. You can see the Moonstone picked up. This is very much going to be a more utility role, facilitate the team. The Volley Bear as well as a champion, it falls off pretty massively, not going to really offer too much damage. Yeah, that's a bit of an answer back. But like, you're so reliant on like Light and Ala being strong. If they're not, you're really going to struggle, right? If OMG are able to commit and take out one of your carries, you kind of really start to run short in terms of resources for the rest of the fight. It is so critical that Light and Ale are not even like super strong, but at least serviceable. And that's what I'm kind of feeling a little bit concerned about right now, especially as we have the Kraken Slayer for Abel. If he finds Light in an uncomfortable position, he'll just kill him.
I love that word as well, serviceable. It's something that, you know, really encompasses what exactly you want to be doing in these team fights. You have a Karma with a Bandle Glass Mirror is going to be very much a facilitator, someone who is giving services to the side of LNG, giving them shields, speed buffs, everything, you know, slowing down the opponents. You look at the Alistair, who's going to be going in as the front line, the engage, the set up kind of, you know, favorable positions. That is exactly what the side of LNG want to be doing, but Rift Herald was about to spawn out, and they're going to drop it down the bot side. I don't mind this as much because they actually haven't got anyone from LNG here. They should be able to get at least 3 plates off this.
Yeah, they might even, it's just Tristana, they might even get a tower. This is kind of
Kraken
fortunate.
Slayer.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll get the whole tower here. Should get it down. Yeah, but this is the thing, right? I think there's 2 good uses of Herald, and there's a great use of Herald. Good use of Herald is you get 2 plates mid, you set it up for the later, the tower take with the second Herald. Another good one is you take a whole tower in the side lane. The really great one is where you get tier 2 as well.
Yeah.
They didn't get the tower in the side lane. Yes, they got a lot of gold, but like, I think there could have been more. This kind of felt like, oh, we still have Herald, we should probably use it, rather than, oh, we're going to be proactive and set up for it.
Well, speaking of being proactive, both ultimates have been used. The Venn diagram of death is trying to keep himself alive. The flash forward, the Q is not enough, though, as All is now in lots of trouble. Should have the hook shot, wall shot to get himself out, but he needs to run all the way back now. That's going to be another plate going over the side of OMG. More gold, more resources, and this is where the game starts to get a little bit funky for the side of LNG. You're now just over 1,500 gold behind. It hasn't moved that much, but losing that flash, losing that ultimate, those engage tools that can jump onto Tristana, that's the big things that can happen here.
Yeah, and a big thing is like a lot of the reason why the gold lead isn't as severe is because like Doinby is up 500 gold in the mid lane down a farm. And you know, as much as it's not bad to have your Karma ahead, you're gonna have resources.
Oh, the flash.
It's not the person you really want to have all that gold. Oh, they're still looking.
They're still very much looking, but the flash
so
lands.
good.
A Solar Flare predicted it. They do land on the Doomby, who gets taken out. There's the Stormbringer to try and make this one work. He's going to flash in over the wall, and they will pick him off. Cream, though, sadly not able to keep himself alive. It's a 2-for-1 trade, though, for OMG, and they're starting to pick up the momentum.
Yeah, critically, the Viego getting ahead is massive. Big thing there was Cole with that beautiful engage, went for the E, predicted the flash with the ultimate, read them like a book, and then they get the resets. And that's the thing we talked about with these skirmishes, with these fights, you get 1 kill, it really sets them up. And I want to highlight this Leona play, just absolutely excellent coming out here, because without this, they really looked like they were getting out. In fact, they were so confident they started to turn back, and then the E comes out with the flash. Doinby flashes straight into the ult. Pretty much no delay on that one. Was ready for it, and then as a result, they get the 1 kill. They get the second. Yes, Cream kind of messes up. You're already dead at this point. Wasted the flash ultimately, but
oh, we go back in, and not having that flash, not having the ultimate on top side does mean that Ala does fall, and that goes over to Tristana. So again, more cogs moving, more gears being shifted forward for OMG. And you talked about it before we went into this. OMG's composition relies on people, specifically Cold, being active, being on target with their skill shots, and making things happen for their team. They're doing it.
Yeah, and the momentum's so big, right? If you start to pull ahead with this composition, you start to be able to blow up at people on LNG easy. It kind of goes back to the long fights favor LNG, but you got to think about, right, for every member that's alive, whenever Doomby Mantra E's, he's getting so much value on them. The Moonstone as well, he wants people to stay alive so you can sort of heal them, shield them, and so they stay alive.
Here we
even by
go.
struggle.
They're going to go for it. There's the light ultimate, but nice headbutt there. Abel's got nowhere to go, but the cavalry is now here. They're going to try and turn this one around. This turret is ramped up and putting Tarzan under some serious duress right now. LNG 4v3 strong, and that light Zeri is doing so much work. Here comes Olive, though, off of the backside of this. Cream going to be forced to use the Spirit Rush over the wall. They thought they might have been able to find something. Nothing was really there for them, and now the tower should be going over in favor of LNG.
And this is an example where if LNG are proactive and they're the ones who get that initial kill, it takes a lot of wind out of OMG's sails, right? Because they need to cut through the shield, they need to blow up their target, and then when the target is dead, they get the reset. As soon as you're lacking that damage from the Tristana, it starts to become a little bit precarious. So it was a good play from LNG, but I respect the fact OMG don't try and contest. That's something they made a massive mistake of in game 1, is instead of saying, okay, we lost out here, give it up, they would still try and make things happen and end up losing even more.
And they're still looking for something here. Aki saying maybe if someone's a little bit lazy, if someone tries to go for a cheeky rotate towards the mid lane, but not going to happen. They lose the Dragon here. Now I've got Rift Herald though, and that's going to mean pretty much this first tier 1 in mid lane going down in favor of OMG. Not exactly the same play you wanted to see them with first to second, but they do get the tower nonetheless. And actually, they might get a second one.
Yeah, they found a good window, honestly. So they get the charge, they get the tower mid. They didn't need the charge to take it down. And now with the Tristana, because LNG had to back away, click the side waves, they end up losing the tier 2 as well. So this is huge. Especially when you think about how some really strong team fights for OMG are going to come from the fact of them having flanks. If you can get Shanji in deep, if you can get Cream behind, a lot of opportunities are opened up, and taking down that tier 2 makes it much easier to get deep wards in for TPs or just to sweep out vision and find angles. So OMG, yes, taking a bit of a hit, losing out on the Dragon, losing that tower bot and the kill, but very quick to answer back, and it's just kind of night and day from that game 1.
It really, really is. We are going to see the Hex Flash from Iwandi just getting himself a bit of distance behind. He thought about it. They didn't know exactly where everyone was on the top side, but tier 1 in the bot lane does go, so that's all the outer ring of turrets being taken now by OMG. They've only got themselves, I should say only got themselves, a little over a 3,000 gold lead, 3,500 gold lead in favor of them, so it is starting to build up for them. I will say they will still want to try and keep this momentum going. They've got 2 items now, a full item difference between the Tristana and the Zeri. That's going to be significant, and we can see just how much of a difference it can make in those fights. Without the Tristana in that bot side, because they were able to assassinate her straight away, there's not really a lot of great, you know, kind of 100% jump on people from the side of OMG. They need to make sure that Tristana stays safe so that consistent DPS is put out.
For sure, because she's such good single target damage, right? And they absolutely have tools even without her.
Of course.
When you're up against a Karma who has the Moonstone, the Mantra Shield can be so significant. And it's like, there will be moments potentially in this game where it's like the difference is 100 health. And it's not, it's like if you take down a target, sure, there's a massive advantage. But the thing is, in this game, if you don't take down a target, they're going to get shielded, they're going to get healed by the Moonstone, they're going to be able to sustain as well if it's like the Camille or the Zeri, and suddenly you have a problem. The other side, if you take them down, all the reset mechanics. So definitely the focus is going to be, can OMG get that initial target? But now, you see LNG leading up towards this top side of the map. They have resources coming in. OMG are trying to respond, though.
Well, there's a charm right under the tower. So it's a good little trade back, as Iwandi now in a little bit of trouble. He might have to pop his ultimate, almost certainly will now, as they are starting to get this full skirmish. Look at Light go on the back side of this one here. He's going to have to run away straight away because you got the headbutt pulverized and the resets are starting to come in. But look at Zeri just shredding down these health bars right now. It's on a 4v4 and a 1v1, and the 1v1 it is going to be the Kennen that comes out on top. Shanji gets that one there, but look at Light. Look at him go. They're still finally taking him down. It ends up being a full ace for 1. That almost looked like a highlight reel there for Light.
It was there potentially, and it felt like one of those moments where the tools weren't available, but OMG, because of that extra golden pocket, able to take them down. Shanji able to get a solo kill in the Harley, I believe, in the bot side. Pretty huge. And one thing I thought was hilarious is we talked about the Alistair being good to the Zeri. Is the fact
you get both. You get Leona and Alistair.
Yeah, so we saw the fact that they killed the Alistair, and then Aki able just to combo the Zeri, buy so much time for the team. So even though Tarzan hits a stopwatch, Zeri can't do anything in the situation. They don't manage to clean up the kills there, and the big thing is if you're not ready to take down Light, if you don't have the cooldowns, it's so scary. So they kite back, then they look for a re-engage opportunity, and Cold, he has honestly just been stellar this game, catches with his Zenith Blade, and as much as the cleanse is there, the problem is you kind of have to wait for the Q to cleanse, and that little delay allowed the damage to come in.
Ah, here we go. So that was completely Allah just trying to go in. He's half health, and he just loses the 1v1.
The worst thing about this is when you do this play, and you're like, well, at least I stopped the TP. Everyone died anyway! It made no difference, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the wrong play, because they would have got stomped even harder if Shanji had chained up. It feels rough, and now it's 10 kills to 3 for OMG. 5,000, yeah, a bit over 5,000 gold ahead. 30 seconds till that Dragon. The only saving grace is LNG got that third one, so it's not soul yet. But OMG are looking good, and to remind you, they have to win this whole series or they are out. Everything is on the line here.
And for LNG, if you lose this series, you start the playoffs in 7.
Yeah.
That's where you start. You start round 1. If you win, you start in round 3. That's the difference. It's the literal playing 2 extra best-of-5s in the space of 4 days. That's the difference here for the side of LNG. So you do not want to be giving this one up. For OMG, though, they're not quite on the position just yet, but they are starting to move in. Ala's going to have to hook shot over the walls. They have a little bit of an opportunity here while that's on cooldown. OMG finally positioning themselves together. This is it for LNG.
And watch who is able to be taken down for OMG. If they can get the resets coming in, it will be absolutely massive.
Ali's
Ale
out.
chased away.
Ali's out. Yeah, he can't defend it, so it's a 4v5, and it's going to be confirmed there. Tarzan has to use the Stormbringer to get himself the hell out of there. The Charm comes in. They go straight in, though, with the Heartbreaker. He gets exhausted, and that's going to be the Diego down. But look at this Tristana. They're going to have the resets coming in. Everyone's getting off of this, though, and they're trying to run back into this light. It's just shredding through these health bars once and for all. There's a slicing Maelstrom, but it's a little too late. And that's 2 kills going over to LNG. Actually, 3 kills, and they can turn for the big purple worm.
And that was it. That was the 100 HP difference. Tarzan just survives. No reset for Aki. We don't get the resets for the rest of the team, and that is the difference in these fights. The shielding, the healing comes in from During B. That is enough for them to find the momentum. And now LNG, they were in such a rough spot, and they are going to be able to secure Baron from this. A massive turnaround.
Huge turnaround there. And going to be the Baron here for the side of LNG. You still have Soul Point for OMG, so it's definitely not the worst of situations, but momentum very much swings back in their favor of the LNG. Let's have a look at the replay here, because Ala, he gets completely zoned off from this fight right from the beginning, but he knows, he has the strength of mind to know that he needs to get back in as soon as possible.
Yeah, but the big thing here is Tarzan. Look how low his health goes, and it's basically a race of health bars between him and Aki. Aki goes in to try and finish him off, and then Aki goes down, Tarzan survives. They don't get the resets, right? Cream, now out of ult charges, Abel doesn't get a jump reset, has to flash out, and obviously the Viego dives without being able to get a reset. Shanji does go in late, but doesn't really achieve anything, and that's the difference. If you get those kills, OMG will flourish. If you don't, you will lose.
And that's the big thing. You saw twice there, Iwandi flashing over the wall, and you saw the Tarzan getting away as well on like sub 200 HP, as we can see. Super minions, or Baroned up minions, I should say, going to be taking down this turret in the mid lane. Nothing really you can do about that one there on the side of OMG. And now all this standing gold starts to go back in the favor of LNG. As we can see a fight maybe kind of breaking out straight away. Cole's going to be stunned up as they look to try and make this fight work. But here comes Shanji. He's on a massive flank. Is he going to try and find on top of everybody? Slicing Maelstrom is there, but he finds the stuns, and the resets are coming in. Iwandi with Light working as much as he possibly can. Look at Light. It looks like he's completely untouched here. He cleanses away the charm. He knows he is the carry of LNG, and I've been gassing this man up all series long because he is so damn consistent.
And they have nothing left for him. He's just going to chase down Cream. Nothing you can do against Azeri. Just going to beat him on a burst, but it's calm Azeri. There's no counterplay when you have your ults unavailable, and I think the problem here is we had this great flank coming in from Shanji, but it was so late. We already saw most of the tools used by OMG, most of the targets chunked out, and now, Shanji, I think you're dead. He actually...
I don't think he is, yeah.
Hook shot misses?
Well, no, I think I'm going to give the hook shot a little bit of a reprieve, a benefit of the doubt. I think he knew the jungler was coming back in. That's why, because as soon as he saw the Kennen turn, he was like, okay, someone else is here. There's no way Shanji turns for a 1v1 here.
You know, maybe agree to disagree, but regardless, LNG have managed to bounce back. They now have a gold lead, right? This game has been so rough. So rough up to this point, and now they really feel like they've hit their stride, especially Light with so much gold in the pocket. But we see the replay. So that's the ult use from the Leona. Leona dives in, right? We see the commitment as well from Aki. Look at the health bars getting burned down.
Right, no one's touching him.
Exactly, and only now does Kennen turn up, right? He doesn't get on the Light because of great interruption by Iwandi, but now everyone's already so low, everyone's used so many tools, and Light is full HP with the Karma to buff him up. All that comes in with all his cooldowns. You know, it just feels like the coordination isn't quite there, and that's the thing. We want OMG. They want to pop someone instantly, blow them up, get the resets, momentum. This staggered engage where Shanji is so late isn't working, and now look at Light's items. 3.5 has a Hex Drink with that extra insurance, and look at his health bar with his shields as well. He's got like 3k HP when he gets the big shields on him, including obviously the shielding. It's ridiculous. How can you burn through that?
It's a bit obnoxious, I gotta say. And how do you burn through that as well? Not only that, but you're going to assume that the Karma is going to be right beside him at all times. So he's going to get a couple of hundred shielding every couple of seconds. And not only that, Doomby's gone with the Frozen Heart. Your attack speed is reduced.
And I think one of the problems here is we said how important it is for OMG to take down a target, right? There are no longer good targets. Nope. Light, super tanky with the shielding. Arla has Death Dance, so he doesn't exactly go down quickly in the shielding as well. Tarzan's a tank. Iwandi's a tank. Doimbi's a tank, right? He's actually got a Frozen Heart. He's building like one for that ability haste. But it's just no one goes down easy. And that was fine when you were up in gold. But now you're down in gold, suddenly you start to feel a little bit worried. If OMG loses, remember, they are out. They cannot make playoffs.
Okay, with quick little reminder here, you do have no flash on the Abel. We'll be up soon. Important, Light has no cleanse. He will not have it for the moment, as Ale needs to be very, very careful. As I say, that Cold is very isolated here. Needs to be so wary of where exactly he's going to be going. They're going to pop down the mist. As here we go, 5v5. OMG, this could be your entire season. You want this soul. This could turn the game and the series back in your favor, but it's going to be so difficult. There we go. The Spirit Rush is not going to land the charm. He's going to wait for a few more seconds to try and get another shot at it. Everfrost misses as well. He's getting good poke off, but that's all it is. They got to burn down the Dragon. 2,000, 1,000, and it's gone. Soul secured by OMG. Slicing Maelstrom is ridiculously huge, and the Zeri is dead. There's no more damage for you here as they're starting to get the resets coming off. Everyone from LNG has to run away, and OMG find the miracle fight.
And that is the fight they need. The instant engage from Shanji. They get the big AoE cannon ultimate. They get the momentum, and especially with the Infernal Soul secure, the extra damage is there. This snap burst that takes down Light and gets the resets. OMG nail it, and just when things start to feel like they were going out of their hands, going out of control, they managed to bring it back.
And that was it. That's why this soul point, this particular dragon fight was so important. Let's have a look at it here. You can see Ale, he's got a great flank, but Cold immediately jumps onto the back line. And again, no cleanse on the Zeri.
That's the critical thing. No way to avoid this. And all three, the Leona, the Ahri, and the Kennen commit to kill. And that's a big difference. We said before, if someone survives, the healing and shielding coming out from the Karma will make all the difference in keeping them healthy, allowing them to continue to function. If they die, then think how much percentage of damage LNG lose when Light is gone, right? They have a tank Karma mid, they have a tank Volibear, they have an Alistair. It's only real Ale who's doing damage on top of that. Yeah, and he's not even that strong compared. You need Light to function. The second OMG found him, particularly Cold, I have to praise him so much. This game has been phenomenal from him on the Leona. And that fight gives them some more life. They're still even in gold, right? They lost that advantage earlier, but the Infernal Soul is there for the rest of the game, and Burst is absolutely what they need here.
Absolutely. That Infernal Soul is probably worth about 5,000-6,000 gold of stats on its own. It's a ridiculously powerful buff, but we're going to see TP coming in here from both top laners. They're recognizing that there's almost certainly going to be a lot of shred here onto the big purple ward. You look at LNG's composition, they could start it and back off it whenever they so choose to see. As you can finally see now, Tarzan getting stunned up here by the solar flare. This is all over a red buff, which is secured. Ala goes in now, is able, trying to keep himself alive. They go in, they're trying to get everything. Oh, OMG, you've lost your Tristana. The slicing Maelstrom is good, but not good enough. You had so much going for you, and you threw it all away for a
Light's still
Brambleback.
going, though.
Light is still going because he knows he's going to be able to put OMG and their playoff hopes in the dirt. I will never, ever get tired of people flipping around ridiculous objectives.
And Aki's, actually, I think he could potentially win. No, he's gone. He's gone. Or is he? Yeah,
No, he's
absolutely.
gone.
He bought time, though. I think the critical thing to say is he bought a lot of time there. LNG are going to be able to take Baron, but they won't be able to end the game. Their plan there was actually to end.
Yeah.
But because Aki bought time, they will lose the Purple Worm, but they keep their hopes alive, and it is so precarious. And I think it kind of shows, if you mess up even marginally in a fight, right?
This is over a red buff.
Yeah, I don't know. They try and look for a potential engage on Tarzan, but eventually they go, no, we can't find this. And then as soon as you don't have those tools to lock down Light, he feels confident. He has so much damage. And these jungle fights where you can have both Ola and Light flying over the walls are really precarious. And that's the thing. These fights feel so swingy.
Oh,
It's frustrating, right?
It is. Cream does eventually fall down. I will say, silver lining, yes, you do lose the Baron, but a lot was burned on the side of LNG. Look at every single flash that is no longer available there for LNG. I will say OMG not faring much better, but they didn't have them to begin with. So you will have your big key summoners up in 2 minutes time when that Elder Drake spawns. It is 15 kills to 15. It is a Dragon Soul for OMG, but they are down about 3,000 gold. It's very, very even in this fight, and it is going to come down to execution. Who can perform their compositions, win conditions better? And for OMG, you can't mess up again. These death timers are getting too long.
Yeah, if you mess up again, the game's over, series over, your split is over. And now Light not only has the Morph Mortis, not only has a health from the Triforce and the Titanic, but now has a GA as well. not easy target to take down by any means, and 2 levels up currently on Abel. This is a stacked Zeri by all means. Now, I wonder if he gets chunked out. Yeah, some good beers coming out from Cream.
Big wave.
Tower's just gone.
Yeah, tower is gone. There's nothing really you can really do about that. The shred just comes in. There's now a GA available to Light, so if you kill him, you got to kill him again. So it's going to be very difficult here. They still have the 2 cannon minions. Azala goes in with the Hextech ultimatum. They do get the jump out and the buster shots. So they're able to kind of get that mitigation out from the side of OMG, but the base has been cracked open. We go to a minute 15 until that dragon spawns. Again, Elder Drake coming up very, very soon. OMG holding on by their fingernails.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be such a big moment. Typically, we see Tarzan so good on the smites. Obviously, lost out on that soul earlier. But this dragon, I feel like the fights are so close often. If you manage to secure the Elder, is likely, we see it in most games, it's likely just going to be enough to give that advantage over to the side of whoever secures it. And one fight could just be the game at this point. We are late enough into it. 15 kills to 15. Goal lead to LNG, but at this point, it's not super significant. Critically, we see the Rabadons picked up for Cream. A big spike for him.
Okay, let's go. We got 30 seconds until Elder spawns. You got minions pouring in. The Baron will be stopping in 30 seconds as well. Take stock of what you've got. You look on the side of OMG. They have all summoners. Can't say the same thing for the side of LNG. They are missing key flashes. They are missing key abilities. But they have got the exhaust, and that's going to be very important to keeping Light alive. Even if you get the Kennen onto the back line, even if you get Shanji in a perfect flank, that exhaust is crippling to try and just stop you from taking down this Light. And again, we talked about his health bar. He's got nearly 3,000. There is a ward. It is very much going to die soon, though, as we can see maybe a fight happening before they can even use it. Cole goes straight in. They're going to try and downland the CC. There we go. Slice the Maelstrom. The Kennen gets on top of everybody. Goes golden straight away. The Hextech ultimatum is good. 1 GA is down. 2 GAs goes forward as Light is finally taken.
They're doing it.
Getting it. They've got 2 kills in the Tristan, a hop, skip, and a jump, and they're resetting all over this fight. OMG keep themselves alive. Triple kill for Abel.
They found this huge Kennen. It made everything messy. The GAs come in, sure, but they're not doing damage when they're dead. 4 members of OMG alive, and that should be enough just to end the game. OMG, it felt so close to them getting knocked out, but they managed to keep the dream alive.
The dream is, in fact, a dream. It shall not be called a meme just yet, but OMG, by the skin of their teeth, keep themselves in this series and keep their playoff hopes going. What a game, and what a way to bring themselves back into it. Again, it came down to execution, and what was important in that fight, like we highlighted, no key flashes for the side of LNG, all summoners available for OMG, and they used them all.
Yeah, 100%. That was a difference, right? And it's something that often you need to focus on is, what are we working with? Because it can make all the difference when it comes to those close fights. If you have a flash, if you don't, and even the cleanse is a great tool, but it often isn't enough, because if you get, you know, chain CC'd by things like the Kennen and Leona, yes, it does reduce the duration, but it doesn't get you out of that situation. You're still taking the damage from the Kennen, even with the exhaust, and just, honestly, it was such a fun game, right? The stakes were huge, but it's the fact that we had these 2 different comps who wanted to fight completely differently, and we saw so many back and forth based on that execution. But I love OMG made so many mistakes with how they were sort of having the late engages from Shanji. It wasn't coordinated. They short it up mid-game. And that's the thing, OMG, we said, they not only have to win this series, they have to win the series tomorrow. They don't have time to adjust, to improve, to change. They have to do it mid-game, mid-series, and go, right, this is what went wrong, let's fix it.
Not only that, but you think about yesterday, they lost, but it was a 3-game series. They went, oh my god, the skip.
They won with a goal deficit,
They won with a goal deficit just about at the end, but you know, you think about the kind of, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, the fatigue that is going to set in for this team. You've went to 3 games yesterday. You're going to 3 games today, regardless if you win or lose. And even if you do win, you then have to go up, which is arguably the 2nd best team in the LPL, and beat them in order to keep your playoff hopes alive. And you're going up against, as of right now, the 6th best team in the LPL. This is the difference that we're talking about, and why there is an opportunity, there is hope, but it is very, it's so difficult to make this happen.
You gotta take it 1 game at a time.
Yep.
You can't even take it 1 series at a time, 1 game at a time. If you start to think about the pressure, that's when you start to crack. But OMG did a fantastic job, and I like the composition, right? I do feel like there was a lot of strength in LNGs, but they didn't really get things rolling with the mid-jungle. But then when it came to those fights, so exciting. Seeing, I think particularly Shanji and and Cold, the way they would just jump on the Zeri and just make it impossible to play.
Sides.
Yeah,
it always
they
felt
made it so hard.
It always felt like the cannon was coming from the back, the Leona was going from this side, and then together, the Zeri didn't have any kind of like, you know, any space to move, any space to kind of create that distance to get those auto attacks off. But OMG keep themselves alive. LNG still in this series as we go to a 1-1, and we're going to send it to a break. And when we return, we'll have our third and final game. We'll see if the OMG dream shall be a meme or not.
Is post 6, you can start to get a lot more aggressive. That goes over the plate. Ghost actually popped there as well. Bubba really wants this fight right now. Kraken Slayer is a lot of damage. A flash for safety. Here comes TF. He's going to flash the stun.
That's it.
The last auto gets him, but Everfrost should be enough. Shen's coming. Shen's coming.
Oh!
The shield too much. No, the man is going to live.
I was raised in the struggle. All I really know is the hustle, boy. Y'all don't really want with me. I'm self-built, I'm self-made, and I'm self-paid. Y'all don't really want it with me.
Of Poke on the side of T1. Krako's staying in, not gonna get it. No charm lands either. The stun is in. Everfrost on Zakaria, as he will knock them both up, and in goes Owner after a huge shock blast, and the kick is going to clean it all up. And that will be the ace for T1.
Keep it low, bro. Fab, burn a couple down in the meanwhile.
Sau đó Celeb cũng đang chạy tới và chiến lược của LPL là phá nhà để endgame. Họ làm được điều đó hay không? Vẫn chưa được những xử lý hay quá. Các bạn ra cửa bên phía tay trái để nhận đơn xin lỗi.
Nhà cú dịch chuyển kết thúc ban đấu đến từ Chuti. Gamisport có Baron, họ bấm về rất nhanh.
Điên cây đang trang tới.
Đánh nhà, Chuti đánh nhà.
Là win, một phát, hai phát đủ hay chưa? Chuti đặt đơn hay không? Còn thiếu một phát. Đặt đơn và chiến thắng dập cho FPL.
I got love in LA. I got folks in NY. City to city, the operations worldwide.
Doesn't matter too much for LNG. The 50-50 goes the way of Allah in the end. And now the fight ensues. Tarzan turns gold to plunge right in the middle of everyone. Maybe this is it for EDG. 2 kills, 1 for Viper. Is Dumbee trying to escape, but the realm walk forwards. Can they find any more? Scout turns gold and keeps himself alive. Allah stunned against his support here, but Light charging forward, getting the resets. Bail out onto Viper. Viper falls though. JJ in the back line. Light turning it around, and LNG somehow find it.
Y'all don't really want it with me.
視界のコントロール、スピンスラッシュ、トルツ入っていく。ダイシーも合わせるような動き。竜の怒りでワンスディスエンゲージ気味。そこに敷いてあるグラビティフィールドで動きが止まったダイシーデッド。さらにアンサーカメルフォース4番のガップパスが決めた。あとは一人一人持っていけばいい戦国ゲーミング。エース獲得。
I'm feeling myself, I killing myself. Just give me some time, I'll be chilling in wealth.
打入直接将这个闪现离开，打位是鬼步开启，要抓吗？
勾到
被留住，想留，但打位左边开启来第一度，可不可以？第二度哇，牙迪敏智的一个大绝，打出了反打，结果在打位是还在赶第二度闪现，这里是控制665想抓，
有孔道，还有吗？
鱼在第三度，triple kill，这里是往前第四度，triple kill，哈哈哈哈，哎呦，哈哈，打控。
Why do you speak on my name? Why do you treat me so bad? 'Cause I never made you feel like this. Why do you leave me
siren without a warning. You never know what hits you if you wake up in the morning like a temptress in a red dress. Seduction is destruction, so you better get a move. Danger, danger, look where you're going. The heart is open, your blood is overflowing, baby. Danger, danger, look where you're headed. Got your pedal to the metal, and life is not ready, baby. Yeah. I'm gonna use you and abuse you. Tie a track on your back, run you down, look behind a fallen angel. Fly a siren, I'm a beacon in the tunnel, light me up like green lightning. Danger, danger, look where you're going. Your heart is open and your blood is overflowing, baby. Danger, danger, look where you're headed. Got your pedal to the metal and life is not a letter. Danger, danger, nothing could be stranger than the feeling that you get when the dark side is coming after you. Danger, 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 danger. Look where you're headed, got your pedal to the metal, and life is not a letter. Danger, danger, nothing could be stranger than the feeling that you get when the dark side is coming after you.
I can't take it, my heart is breaking, but I know it's for the best. See, we've been taking much too long to finally lay this love to rest. So I put on my jacket, untangle my shoes.
Welcome back, one and all, to the LPL. We are in day 2 of our catch-up matches, or as I like to affectionately call, week 10. We are going to have ourselves a third game in this series. OMG keeping themselves alive. I'm still just Ushin. You are still only Aux. And together, we are here in my office, casting games of League of Legends.
And what games they were,
Yeah.
right? Game 1, absolute stomp. OMG bounced back game 2, and it wasn't clean. It was definitely
not
close,
clean.
but man, it was some League of Legends. And I think critically, the person in my mind who really stepped up was Cold.
Yes.
On that Leona. Just a stellar performance, and so many moments where his engages were pivotal for the team in finding, shutting down the likes of Light on that Zeri, and also just enabling these big fights. 90% kill participation is pretty insane.
Yeah, not. Pretty damn good game, considering we talked about in game 1 on the Renata. He was incredibly muted, didn't really do a lot, and it started from literally the level 1 here, getting that engage, forcing out abilities from the side of LNG, and keeping that bot lane in a higher momentum state. And again, they kept going back to it, they kept trying to make it work, getting those 2 early kills, pivotal to making sure that Light on the Zeri did not take over the entire game.
100%, but it continued, right? I think a critical one was here, where we saw Light potentially in a position where late in the fight, he started to find some momentum, but it was Cold who shut him down. I think we didn't even see the clip earlier where he had that flash predict into Doinby as well. It just felt like, this was probably the best game from Cold the whole split. And I mean that sincerely. And what a time to have it, by the way.
Yep, it's probably the best time to get into the form of your split. It's right as you are needed it to most. This was the last fight coming in here, and again, it just felt like they were coming from great angles. Cold goes in, he does die, but he gives his life for the cause, because he knows that if he can just keep the Zeri down, if he can keep these, massive carries from the side of LNG locked up.
If you just get that one kill.
He just gets that one kill, he can win the game for the side of OMG, and that's what exactly happened.
Yeah, I love when teams adapt mid-game, because, teams are always going to adapt mid-series, that's how it goes, but when they go, right, Why hasn't this been working this game? They go, look, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do this. They find better angles, and it felt like the approach was just different because Shanji was so late to the initial fights.
Yep.
2 in a row. It didn't feel like it was just happenstance. It felt like they just weren't coordinating well, and they went, okay, this is a big deal, right?
Yes.
Pretty big deal. If we lose this round, you know, we
I
just saw
don't want to call it too controversial, but it's kind of a big deal.
At least a moderate deal, right? I think we can say.
Absolutely, and I think for OMG now, you got to keep the momentum going because again, we went from stomp for LNG, incredibly close game in terms of game 2. Now we're back on blue, we're back on red, but this time around we're seeing a couple of different changes. The Tryndamere has escaped the pick bans. They've banned the Tristana. You got to ban this area. I feel like you can. Like your answer was there. Yes, there we go. Thank you, OMG. We are going to see the handshake though. It's almost certainly going to be Jinx and Aphelios.
And that's the problem, right? You know. Which do we find is in favor? I feel like there's a lot of skill expression on the Aphelios. I feel like Jinx is just brainless and broken, right? You stand back with your rockets and you fire them away.
The BB-80 carry, brainless and broken.
100%. But we do see OMG, they recognize the strength this Ahri had. Remember, Ahri 100% win rate in the series. We saw maybe have an excellent game 1, and then Cream as well. I feel like
more agency.
Yeah, after Cold, I think he was probably second place in terms of MVP. He had a really strong performance, so they will lock that in. Now, I feel like you probably just take the Aphelios here if you are going down that direction. We have seen teams move a little bit differently. We've seen things like the Xayah come out, other areas. They're going to lock in the Viego. They have that reset combo. But now they're kind of pigeonholed a bit. You kind of need to take your AD carry on 3, which means you can't necessarily respond to what LNG take. But they don't really do anything that wild. They take predicted mid-jungle. It could obviously be a support Karma, but based on how LNG play, we expect that. And now I expect OMG will probably take the AD carry, unless they have some fringe stuff that they don't think will get banned. We do see the Samira being hovered. I would be hyped, but there's a lot of options available right now.
Yeah, there's so many things they can go with here. There's so many ways they can build this one around. I will say for Abel, he did have this matchup yesterday. He does seem to favor the Ezreal going into this. It does open up your support. It's not as, you know, cut and dry of you have to pick engage, you have to pick. You can be a little bit more, say, choice, have a little bit more choice with your support pickle, but Abel in that game yesterday against LWX kind of ended up in a really bad hole. 3,000 gold behind at like 15 minutes, and it just was not a good time. The Jinx is always going to win that. Yes, the Ezreal has a lot of versatility and diversity in his build, but you need to make sure that you're not falling behind because the Jinx is just straight up better.
You'll get outskilled so hard, right? And I love that they're banning the Tahm Kench because in terms of having that single target kill potential, the Tahm Kench can deny that so heavily. Rakan comes out, banning that away from my 1D, who had a spectacular game 1. And we do see both Shanji and Cold being targeted what they had in game 2 and was so successful on when it came down to locking down that critical target. And that's vital because we have a Jinx who's going to scale exceptionally, right? And we have a Karma who can buff her up. It does mean that you need to answer this problem that will be light on Jinx later in the game. They're in a position now where if there's any supports they want to blind, they can take it here, or they could just end up picking a top laner. It's a delicate situation.
I like this. I like this from a point of view of like Cold is looking so good when he's on hard engaged supports. Maybe not specifically the set, but definitely something along those lines. It can be a lot distorted. Plus, it does give Shanji that counter pick, and the Tryndamere isn't banned, so he could end up getting a favorable matchup.
The only thing I'm concerned about is that sometimes the set has difficulty closing gaps, right, without flash. If you don't close a gap on LNG, you will just get absolutely dismantled. I also think like you want to play aggressive with set lanes on the bot side. Ezreal's not the best at sort of facilitating that. Ezreal's better at playing with things like Karma and having the poke lane, which is why it's particularly painful that they can't go Ezreal Karma here because the Karma's been taken by LNG. Now we will see the Camille come out for Arlo, something that he had a pretty decent performance on in that game too, despite the fact they lost. I think he sort of handled that one okay. Did get solo killed by Shanji, but still was relevant in fights. And then looking towards the Nautilus in that support role, that single target lockdown, you know, the fact is point and click, very good against Ahri, very good against Ezreal. And now for OMG, are they going to commit to something like the Tryndamere? Are they going to go for a strong counter pick for Shanji? They have a lot of options in this situation. We could even see something fringe like the Rumble come out. But they might end up just looking towards the Renekton.
We'll see what they want to go for. As OMG do have their final pick. They are going to lock it. I like this. I think you go with comfort. You go with saying, look, we know that Shanji is a momentum-based player. We need to give him give him a much more favorable matchup. And this has been banned away from him all series. So this is something that you need to prove to RNG tomorrow, that this needs to be a consistent ban on your blue side or red side. Doesn't matter what side you're on.
Yeah, and the thing with the Tryndamere is, I mean, this is how most matchups can go. If you get ahead, you can just steamroll a matchup, right? It becomes kind of unplayable for the Camille if you fall behind and he's diving you. But also when it comes to those team fights, it's going to be so much emphasis is on light once again, but you're not playing Zeri. You don't have a dash, you don't have infinite stacking movement speed, you still have that protection for the Karma, but ultimately it's one of these situations where if they're sort of aggressing from multiple sides, you have the Tryndamere flanking, the Ari charging at you, the Viego. The goal is kill light in most of these team fights, and if they succeed on that,
series.
yeah, I mean, if they succeed on that, definitely the opportunity to take over. I do still have concerns. I'm not super sold on the bot lane for OMG, but they have that strong mid jungle, again, that spikes at 6. They have the Tryndamere at top, and it kind of feels like, based on how they've set this up, bot lane, they might just leave a little bit isolated, and they're going to play towards potentially getting the Tryndamere ahead. My concern is we look at the game yesterday, right? Yeah. FPX against OMG, they got really brutalized. In the games they lost there, it was FPX snowballing LWX through the bot lane. That could happen again here.
Yeah.
I remember, set stakes, game 3. They lose this, they don't make playoffs. It's that simple.
Yeah, that's basically how it goes. We can't make it any more simple than that. You win today, you still got to win tomorrow, but at least there's still a chance. There is still hope in your final series. It gives you a lot of momentum as well, considering... Oh, yeah, no, he's on the JDG. I'm so sorry. It's, again, I hate... Just pick better names. It's like Abel. It's just like Abel is Abel. It's like, God damn it, of course Abel is Abel.
Is able to carry?
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. The Ezreal, I don't know. Yeah. I've seen Ezreal's take over. I've seen Ezreal's do almost literally nothing. It's very much a feast or famine with this guy sometimes, depending on how the laning phase goes. But that is neither here nor there. We are jumping onto the rip for the third and final time today. OMG got themselves, we're not jumping onto the riff, we're coming back to us. We were doing a little dance and everything.
Yeah, I was getting hyped.
Yeah, we were hyping up. Yeah, but I can't really move that much because
the camera will start shaking. You can even see that.
Yeah, we can literally see it right now. We do apologize for the camera shake. This is my home setup. It's not used to having 2 people.
Yeah, I broke in.
Yeah, you, Lyric, Hysterics broke in. Dagda and Munch are thinking about it.
You should really get the window fixed on it.
I don't know, man. I like the breeze. We've had a pretty big heat wave coming through Ireland recently. It's 16 degrees.
I find that hilarious because there's going to be people listening.
That's not hot at all.
There's going to be people listening who are like, oh, it's kind of cool today. It's like 25 degrees, and they'll hear us. But
here's Ireland and Newcastle just being like, lads, mid-teens, let's go. Like, it's such a nice temperature for me, especially when you get that nice breeze coming in from the coast.
Especially because Hysteric's obviously from Australia, right?
Yeah.
And the other night...
And Jordan's from the desert.
Yeah, like I was walking around in the t-shirt, and it was... I mean, I thought it was fine.
Yeah. I was in, like, harem pants.
Yeah, minorly brisk. And then they were literally just like, oh... It's so cold.
Yeah, like Hysterics brought his like fluffy, like very much like I'm going hiking in the winter jumper or jacket with him. But it's neither here nor there. It's warm if you're from the northeast or northwest of Europe, as we have a nice little heat wave hitting us here. But LNG versus OMG, we are coming into the third game of this series. It is a 1-1, and the big thing that we saw in both of those games, that whoever got the early momentum got control of the dragons, and those dragons turned out to be pivotal.
Yes, and often winning early does tend to favor you winning late, unsurprisingly. And I feel like the big thing is we've seen a lot of agency in that mid lane, right? Consistently in this series, and since we came back from Chinese New Year, honestly, 12.4, we started to see, instead of teams playing things like Victor and Corki, playing just to scale to ramp up, mid-prio, contesting that, using that to spread your presence across the map has been so important. And here, once again, it's this Karma-Ari matchup. We saw this the previous game. Karma is going to have more power early. Lee Sin is also a jungler who spikes very hard at level 3. Yes, his ult is a big tool, but I'm looking at Tarzan and Joinby. If they can start impacting the map at level 3, they can really take over. On the other side, I'm looking at the level 6.
Ignite went down. There's a lot of damage onto Iwandi. Cold will get traded back into it, though, but summoner advantage now to LNG, and that's a big thing in this bot side.
And particularly Set has built-in sustain, right? He gets that extra regen when he's low, so it's not big of a deal if you end up trading heavily like that. Now, Kanji hoping for maybe a couple more crits there. That is literally...
That was unfortunate.
Yeah, that's actually how it goes.
Full rage bar, and it's like, yeah, 3 autos, not a single crit. It's like, damn it. Well, that's how the matchup goes. It is sometimes a little bit of RNG for the Tryndamere in these early stages. If you get 1 or 2 quote-unquote lucky crits, it can swing the momentum of that 1v1.
At least it's not as bad, if anyone remembers, when there used to be this 1% crit rune. And there were times where you'd literally lose lane because someone would just... Literally 1%. So for anyone who's not familiar, it used to be you had these room pages alongside masteries, and you could choose what went into them, right? And you could just put one crit rune, you had 1% chance, and you would just crit once in lane, maybe once in like
5-6 auto
once
attacks.
in once in like 50 games would it be useful.
Oh, here we go. Level 3 though for Tarzan. He tries to go in, will land the Sonic Wave. He goes back, but the spin to win means that Shanji should keep himself alive. Did have to burn the Ghost though to create that little bit of extra distance.
Yeah, you want to invest the Ghost early because just to make sure that movement speed is able to get you out rather than coming in late and then end up getting caught. It's obviously burn. It's not a huge deal. Does also get chunked out a little bit, but
It's like a 3-minute cooldown.
Yeah, it's
Not
whatever.
that much.
Not huge, but I like to see Tarzan trying to impact the map early, and that's the goal, right? You're playing Lee Sin. You're going to have prio mid thanks to doing beat on this Karma. You're a really strong level 3. In jungle, I want to see presence on the map. Try and impact top, try and impact bot, potentially punish mid. There's so many options here, but LNG are the ones who want to have that emphasis early.
Yeah, well, the hookshot has been committed here. The Sanji Tryndamere has been doing pretty well so far, just pushing back the Camille. We will see Aki slowly rotating himself around. They're trying to see if they can get that wave to crash, and if they can, a dive might be in order, but you do have the teleport available here for the Karma. Again, the way the teleports work now is that pre-14 minutes, you can only teleport to your allied turrets, and that's, I don't know why my accent went on that way, but it did. We're going to see the hookshot come in, the flash, as we see now Ali trying to make something work here, but no flash available to him. Will he get stunned up? He will not, but he'll be slowed down. Aki cannot tank up the tower anymore, and it's a little bit of a scuff move as Tarzan comes running up. Shanji needs to get himself the hell out of dodge. There is a hookshot for Allah as he tries to make something work. There's the flash in, and they're going to trade it back. No, he's not able to do it as we go straight back down towards this bottom side. There's the Haymaker to try to trade back this shield, but the set is losing out on these trades pretty damn heavily.
Just messy there, though, from OMG, and super substantial, right? Because you get the trade kill back, that gives Ola a bit of an advantage. He's going to be able to push this wave, and remember, it's no TP from Shanji, so although he is going to be able to get there in time to catch this because of the cannon minion, he's still not going to be able to TP in and deny the crash. Now, we see this coming out here. Shanji's trying to crash the wave in and trying to trade heavily with Ola to get him low, but Ola knows the potential dive is coming, so he commits heavily, and then critically, this stun doesn't connect. I think the stun connects, it might just kill him there and then. End up missing out, and then we see this extended play. Tarzan shows up, and Shanji makes the best call to go for the all-in. You're never escaping. That shield comes in. And we're talking about the crit chance, right? It's not even just a crit then. If you'd got a crit earlier, the health differential.
Maybe like 10 health, 15 health or something like that. There's the bone
Wasn't
plating
much.
in there. It's literal millimeters between these two teams. And that's the biggest difference when we come to pro play, is that when it comes down to these skirmishes,
one team crits and the other doesn't.
Yeah, it comes down to RNG. League of Legends is an RNG based game and always will be. But
yeah, well.
no, but like it is down to those little small, minute details that do end up being a difference between, does the stun land? They do get it. Okay, then they probably get the kill on Camille. They probably get the Camille effigy over onto the Aki. He gets out. Again, it's a domino effect.
Shanji just needs to right-click harder, is what I would say. Well, you know, it's been a decent start so far for LNG, but ultimately, not too much has come to fruition, right, from this Lee Sin's Karma. And it's not like at level 6 they suddenly just stop existing. Lee Sin, ult, big spike for sure. But that's where Aki and Cream come online. Cream feeling far more confident now with this ult in pocket, and Aki as well, trying to get that level 6 so you can have that more agency. Now, critically, Shanji level 6, that big wave crashed, and now all it might potentially be in trouble.
Yeah, he's going to look to try and get his level 6 himself before any of this goes off. He still has the hookshot, wall shot should he need it, but it's actually Aki who's not quite able to get the damage down. They jump onto Ala, but here comes Tarzan. He actually jumps straight into the loving hands of Cream, who gets himself a kill, and there's the Undying Rage forcing the flash from Doomby. LNG just a little bit too slow to get themselves reacting to it, and they end up losing their top
and
laner.
That's such a disaster for Ola there, because look at the CS difference, right? That big wave was supposed to be his reprieve, where he picked it up, managed to equalize from that wave that Shanji could catch before. Because of the dive, that's not able to happen. You know, it's not like they lost more than just a top laner, but the goal difference as a result means Shanji's in a pretty comfortable position in this matchup. Now, we did see the Camille TP mid to get some farm there. Remember, he's not 6. Tarzan does have his ultimate, but won't find him.
Yeah, Aki just sidestepping the Sonic Wave there. You can see what Aki wanted to do. He wanted to soak up the experience from that wave, get himself to that Heartbreaker so that it's becoming a much harder dive for the side of LNG, but not able to do it. Eventually, Ale will get himself his level 6 into that mid lane as he picks up the rest of that farm. But again, big discrepancy in that top side, and important as well for OMG. Cream got the kill, so Cream's going to be able to get up to that Everfrost. That pick potential with this Ahri is going to be significant the later we go into the game.
Yeah, 100%. And Cream had a fantastic game too on this Ahri, right? That's why they prioritized it so heavily here. We saw Cold, obviously, the one who got MVP, but I think Cream was definitely the second for that one. And if he can start to get unlocked on the map, start to have that agency, that's where we can see things go in their favor. Him being there to pick up the kill on Ole was the difference maker. That was the thing that really managed to secure that play. Now, teams are even in gold, Dragon's up, Herald's up. There is a lot on the map to play for right now, and although we saw a lot of trading bot lane, it's been kind of quiet otherwise.
Yep, again, very different to what we saw in Game 1 and 2, where the very heavy focus from both sides was to either get Abel ahead or to get Light ahead. Both these AD carries have been relatively quiet. It is Light who's coming up slightly ahead. He will be about 10 or so CS once this wave crashes, and you do get the Ezreal picking it all up. But again, OMG not going to be too dissatisfied with the way they're going. I don't think LNG will be either. It's a pretty damn even state of game right now. No one taking the Herald or the Dragon as of yet. Both junglers are on this top side as Aki maybe looks to try and make something happen in the top lane rather than around the Rift Herald.
Yeah, if they can try and find Arla before this play, makes it a lot easier, right? If they can get the numbers advantage. But critically, he'll let his top laner push the wave in, and then with the confidence they have the strength, that moves down here. Abel's found Light.
He's found Light. He's going to pop down the exhaust and the flash as well. He's feeling confident, and he gets the trade back. This is why Abel likes this matchup. He feels confident in a 1v1 setup where he knows he's in a straight-up 1v1. He can take away those fights. He's got the exhaust. Speaking of a fight, we're going to see the Dredge line come out. That's going to be no Spirit Rush there available for Cream. He does not respect the CC coming out, and that point-and-click ultimate is just too good. But while that was all happening, OMG sneak away the Herald.
Yes, let's dissect this, right? Shanji had top prio so they can stop the Herald. And when we saw mid kind of looked weird, but both supports were trying to get XP for 6. Critically, I wanted to hit 6 first, and he instantly took that window to engage on a Cream, and this is why the Nautilus pick is so good here, because it has that layer CC that you can apply to something like an Ahri. Don't give a chance for Cream to react, and they find that kill. But OMG get the Herald. I think that's definitely what they want, and a lot of opportunity. They can use a bot lane, they can try and get Abel ahead. Mid is a good one to try and open up the map. Top, I actually don't like it top. I actually prefer them just to keep threatening Arla and diving him. I think Herald might be a bit unnecessary here.
Oh, it's got a little bit extra resistances now as that Dragon does go over. They are going to drop the Herald. This is just full tower here, and I think, like you said, it isn't going to be the most optimal use of this particular buff, but it does give them the tower. It does open up the map a little bit. You could maybe drop down your bot lane, as I said, that's Tarzan. Be in a little bit of trouble here. Does take off a little bit of his damage, but at the end of it all, it is still the tower going over in favor, and that is going to be about a 1,300 gold lead, a little bit more for Shanji, and this is where the game gets a little bit more dangerous. You talked about how when this Tryndamere gets ahead, he just raffle stomps on you.
Yeah, what often happens is a Tryndamere is going to push in deep. He's hard to punish because he's so mobile, and his ult makes it so you can't kill him easily.
They get a second tower.
If they get a second tower, then it's definitely a good play, right, is all I'm going to say.
I mean, how can you fight this if you're the Camille right now? I don't think you can really do much about it as Aki is over to the side. He's going to wait to see if he can commit the Hextech ultimatum. But while that's all happening, Doonby finally joining in. They're finally reacting to it. That tower is very, very low. They won't get it just yet. But again, a small macro play from OMG where they prioritize it. They should be able to take it.
And, you know, we saw game 1. We saw heavy prio from OMG on getting an advantage top. Didn't really pay off that much here. It's pretty substantial for Shanji, right? And I know I said I wasn't a super big fan of when the lane is already going so favorably, of extending it, right, into a position where Oleg can potentially farm safely near the tower. They weren't quite able to get that second one, but they still put the Tryndamere in a position where he's over 1,000 gold ahead. They start to find situations where he can push in the lane, rotate towards mid, look for dives, look for flanks. That's really where this comes to fruition, and they are enabled by this pick. But for the time being, you know, they can be satisfied with that, but the mid tower is still pretty healthy, and that's always a big one to take down.
Yeah, absolutely, and we can see there both the Dragon and the Rift Herald roughly on the same timer, so we can see teams either prioritizing one or the other. If you feel like LNG don't really feel like they can go for the fight, they'll end up, you know, moving back towards the other objective, which OMG are not set up for, and vice versa. We now see Cole just getting some deep vision down. Aki has been spotted out on the Scryer's Bloom, but we have a quick look at the items. You will have the Moonstone Renewer finished up for Doomby. Incredibly cheap support item. Not really surprising to see him being miles ahead of everybody else, but now Ola is in a very extended lane. And this is the big fight we're talking about. Like, you have to be so careful. The Ghost has been used. We might actually see the flash coming out here from Allah, as he's just going to get run down. Hextech ultimatum, flash over the wall. Does he have the blast cone? He does not. And you talked about that long extended lane, and they did not respect it on the side of LNG.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in this situation, right, you wait for Shanji to push in, you catch the wave on the tower, you know, there's the threat of the team collapsing that forces them not to go too aggressive. Ola just pushes the lane up, and it's like, you're so overextended, and then critically, he is in a straight line. Go over the wall, right? I really don't understand it, and honestly, Ola has had a rough series so far, right? Rough split, yeah, honestly.
I mean, we can give people very realistic expectations for this guy. I think Allah had a great year last year, but so far in 2022, he has not been exceptionally great. He has not been able to be the carry performer that we probably expected him to be. It has been a bit middling for him in so far this split, and I think Shanji getting his Tryndamere, getting counterpick and knowing exactly what he's going into, the priority we've seen OMG put in towards this top side, he can do it again and again. He still has the ultimate. He can still do this, but he knows that it's just not quite worth it yet, as he hasn't gone back and spent.
Yeah, I think as well a critical... Oh, might look for somebody. Yeah, I think the critical thing is when you have Ghost, you just know you can run them down, right? There is a lot of mobility.
1200.
Yeah, I mean, if you look between top of the screen, 2,000 gold lead between top laners. That is insane.
Yeah, it really, really is. And you're going to see him go back, pick up his, what I almost certainly think is going to be the Gale Force. Yep, there it is. He can start now moving towards either the Navori Quickblade or anything really he decides he thinks he needs in this particular fight. So lots of opportunity here for Shanji. And with a minute till Dragon and a minute 20 until Rift Herald, this is an incredibly scary Tryndamere that is going to give you priority wherever the hell you want to put it.
And I feel like this is a bit of a lull point for LNG, right, compositionally, because Light is not really doing that much damage, right? The one-item Kraken Slayer isn't as good as the one-item Triforce for the Ezreal. 2 items as well, when there's a Man Immune, is going to be more favorable. Ahri is in a pretty comfortable spot, right? Has the Everfrost, the picks. Like, I think OMG are very comfortable right now, and LNG, they want a bit more time. They want 3 items in the Jinx. They want Arla to sort of make up a bit of this deficit in the top lane. But we will see how it pans out. And the critical thing is keeping Light alive. Even though obviously I said he's not the most instrumental at the moment, Jinx getting resets at any point in the game will make a big difference.
And how do you want to approach these fights then as LNG? Where do you, yes, you're on a little bit of a lull. Do you just give up the big objectives, kind of wait, or do you want to try and maybe, you know, trade back the Dragon? Like, I was going to say, it's a Cloud. I don't think you want it, but they're posturing.
It doesn't even matter it's a Cloud. It doesn't matter what Dragon it is. You've already got the first one, right? That puts so much less emphasis. And even if you didn't have the first one, you don't need to fight this. But they are moving over there. We'll see if they can find a good approach on this. Remember, Ola has TP, and Shanji doesn't.
Yeah, we're going to see them now go for it. The tower gets taken, as does the Dragon. We are seeing a little bit of a change. There goes the knockback as they do get themselves knocked into it. There's the kickback as Cold. No, not quite getting taken out. It's like Wandy needs to try and flash away to keep himself alive. Does not launch the dredge line. Here comes the TP. It's going to be a 5v3 in this bot side. Aki says, I'm sorry, Abel. There's just not a lot I can do for you here. But look at the base. Look at the top left of your corner. That's going to be Shanji breaking up the base. Yes, you get a kill, but this is just a split push Tryndamere.
Yeah, he's just going to keep pressuring, and that's the thing. They lost that tier 2. They wanted to commit the TP. They had that advantage, being able to group with their top laner. They get a Dragon. They only get 1 extra kill, and losing that inhib tower.
That's 2 towers.
It's scary, right? And I mean, there's an answer back. I think overall, it's not a massive disaster, but
I mean, you're going to lose mid as well. Honestly, I think you overcommitted a little bit.
For sure.
It does feel like, yes, you get something off of it, but you gain so much more for OMG.
You burnt the TP for the kill. You already had the Dragon, right?
Yep.
And yeah, you're right. You're losing mid tier 1, losing 2 towers top.
Base is open.
Yeah, it's rough. It's scary. I think this is a critical thing. That is the major thing, is how scary it is.
And this feels like a fight from OMG where, you know, I feel like they could definitely get out if they wanted to, but they kind of want to be in this TP. They want to commit. And just notice the difference in how they're playing as soon as the TP starts channeling. Everyone's like, okay, we leave in, job's done.
Cream wasn't a part of it, and then immediately said, okay, I've arrived, I've said hello, I must leave now.
Started to get engaged. Kind of hilarious that Aki, like, flashes out and he was able to escape, but not much you can do.
Yeah, oh, Haymaker does end up landing as the dredge line comes in. They are going to land a bit of damage, and the Super Mega Death Rocket is good. So they are picking on Cold a little bit now without his flash available to him, and you mentioned this as well. He's a very squishy support, especially considering he took Glacial Augment and not the Aftershock. It is going to be starting up the Rift Herald here for the side of LNG, and the kills will matter. Whoever gets them is going to matter as well. You're looking at a kill for Lee Sin, a kill for the Jinx, even a kill for the Nautilus. This is going to be significant the longer the game goes on and those items start to get completed.
Yeah, and, you know, I feel like LNG want to keep grouping, right? That's the ideal situation for them. Get max value out of the Karma. find isolated members of OMG and just charge towards them. But there's this problem of this Trinimir now. He's gone to a new lane. He's taken all the towers top. He's now looking towards bot lane. That's just so much standing gold he's able to pick up. And they're already 2,000 gold up. Ola gets a bit of lone time top, but won't be able to take the tower. And Trinimir is going to take that T1 on the boss side, so...
Who can answer him?
Yeah, I mean, no one at the moment.
If you want to answer this Trinimir, you have to send multiple members off to a side lane, off to wherever he is, which means you are putting the rest of your team at a disadvantage. The only real reason we saw...
levels up.
Yeah, I was going to say, the level difference in everything, it's just so significantly harder. Even in a 2v1, he could probably end up winning because, well, it's unless you bring the Nautilus, who's going to lock him down?
Yeah, and that's the problem. It doesn't even matter whether you kill him or not, right? It's whether you can catch him, because he doesn't have to commit to the fight. He can just back off, and then the rest of the team can start to take camps on the inside, take objectives. It's this constant pressure where you feel like you get pulled over there. And I do think Shanji's done a pretty good job where, you know, team are resetting, he resets with them, doesn't overstay, doesn't allow them to capitalize. But now with the Navori quick blades, this is when he's super scary because you have the extra cooldown reduction on the E when you're getting crits, which you're going to get because you're Trinimir. And it means your just chase potential is insane. Like, he can join fight as well and be a relevant threat. If he gets on the backline and finds a flank, I would not want to be playing Jinx into that.
That is a 35 CS difference in that top lane. That is absurdly huge right now. Level 13 to only the level 12, and they own the bottom side of the map as Ale tries to go in there onto Shanji. They are trying to take away this red. We saw this before. Abel does end up securing that one there, so nice buff transfer there over to the side of OMG's AD carry. But LNG, you can see they're trying to just keep this tug of war going in their favor. They know they have to keep vision. Look at the line of vision they picked up there because they said, look, if anyone sneaks in, we could get caught.
Yeah, flanks are the pivotal thing. If you think about how LNG want to play fights, they want it to be a front to back. They want to pick off single targets, things like the Nautilus ult with the Camille ult, and they just want light free hitting, getting that grouped up value from the shield. OMG love a bit more of a scattered fight, right? Yeah.
He gets caught up with the Sonic Wave, but it's
Not really gonna caught.
nothing else to it. But 40 seconds till the Dragon spawns.
Look at Shanji.
Shanji's roaming over, but this is why he's going to kind of get himself a sweeper. He knows he's in a little bit of trouble if he gets caught out, and that's why
the vision,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Exposing the threat, and the thing is, you see teams who do a really good job of just setting up the sort of top laners, the dive threats on these flanks. They don't even feel comfortable approaching, right? This Dragon area because they know the Trinimir is in the vicinity. Baron is spawning up soon, right? So they are kind of trying to, like, they're not going to do Baron, but they want to at least get control of the area and pose a threat. But I feel like OMG should just be able to grab this Dragon. And in fairness, LNG, they have 2 in the pocket. It's not the end of the world if they end up losing this, but it feels very difficult to contest right now.
Yep, and again, I think Tarzan with that Reptile is going to try and maybe get 2 towers in this top side. It would be a very good trade up here for the side of LNG, get some of that standing gold. They are still only about 2,000 gold behind. So again, nothing massively significant. It is just the Tryndamere that is the biggest issue right now, who is starting to solo out that Dragon. And this is what you get with the power and presence you have with this top lane pick. When he's able to just give himself free time, you can't really contest it, and it means it gives OMG the priority to then, as you say, get people up to this top side so they don't lose at second tier 2.
Yeah, able to respond. And, you know, LNG, I think they made the right call. They don't lose out, really, from that Dragon, and they're able to defend. But it's one of those situations where, you know, it's feeling a bit precarious, I think is the way I would describe this game right now. It feels like one big mistake could blow it open and out. Oh, they commit. TP coming in.
This is going to be a 5v4 as of the moment. The Tryndamere is trying to run back as quick as he possibly can. They overcommit on the side of LNG, and now the Tryndamere is here. He's going to try and fully commit to this. There's the Hextech ultimate going down on top of him. He does have his ultimate there. There's some good splash damage, though, from the Karma as Tarzan gets him out. Shanji gets out with literally sub HP as he tries to run away. OMG wanted the fight. They want to try and punish the side of LNG, but they themselves are getting punished. The charm was a million miles wide. They tried to look for it, but honestly, that could be Baron.
Yeah, they have the shielding, so they can do a Baron and stay quite healthy as a result. So they should just commit to it and look for the chain potential onto OMG. We'll start this up. Aki does have flash, does have ult, does have smite, so he's in a position to potentially steal.
Yeah, they could look for it
oh my
here.
God. When you charm over the wall, they start running around.
Yeah. They start running around it, so they get a little bit away from the wall. There's going to be a bit more damage onto I1D. Look at the flashes available for Light. There is none for Do and B as the Baron goes down to about 2,000 HP. It's going to be a smite fight. We're going to flip it here as it goes straight in. It's going to be stolen! OMG, get him in. Aki gets himself out, but only just to die as Ale gets himself over the wall. Cream gets hit by the lethal tempo of Light, and he starts running down these health bars. Shanji did not have his Undying Rage. You get the Baron, but you lose 3 off of it. It's a denial, and now LNG firmly in control of this mid lane, and firmly in control of the game.
Yeah, the fact that they get 3 kills, right, denial those Barons, they got to feel happy with that one. I feel like you can only imagine if Aki didn't get that smite, how much of an absolute disaster that would have been for OMG. Clutch play managed to keep their hopes alive, but still, LNG, they end up flipping it. At the end of the day, can't call it any other way. Lee Sin does have a general advantage in securing these neutral objectives because you can time the Sonic Wave with the smite, but he actually doesn't manage to do it here. Yeah,
it's way early, 93 HP.
And so we end up seeing, though, despite the fact they get that, the chase potential from LNG allows them to clean up these kills, and so the Baron isn't really too much of a reward for OMG. It's more for denial. You'll absolutely take the fact that you get the gold, but gold is even right now. And when we look towards LNG, Light is really strong, and that's the scary thing. And we kind of think back to that previous fight around the Dragon, why it went so wrong. It was reminiscent of the early fights in Game 2, where it was kind of staggered, it wasn't coordinated. Shanji would be coming on the flank, but either too late or here it was too early. And the thing is, LNG were just grouping up as a death ball, and their comp is so much easier to play. You all stand next to each other, Karma presses R, Karma presses E, job's done. And you just have Jinx auto-attack. And especially now with Chemtech Putrefier, even more threatening.
Yeah, you get that shield on top of everybody. Everyone picks up the grievous wounds. It means that Tryndamere is not going to be as annoying of a health bar coming back every single time, and that's going to be the significant thing coming into these fights. You now have a Phantom Dancer picked up here for Light, so he's got that little bit of extra movement speed. Of course, he's got the movement through the minions as well, so he's not going to be blocked by them. So extra little bits that can maybe work out in favor of him. And I will say, Shanji is still very significantly ahead, but if LNG continue this of not going into the side nades, not giving him the time of day, and then forcing OMG into odd number skirmishes where they have the advantages, it doesn't matter how big the Tryndamere is.
Yeah, and what I will say, in terms of scaling, LNG feel real comfortable. They have a Jinx.
Pretty solid.
They have shielding for the Jinx. And, you know, things like the Camille as well, with those benefits, feel really comfortable. I think LNG are very strong in these team fights going on. Mikhail's just come out for WB as well. So much healing and shielding power. And also, if there is a charm that comes in, able to prevent it, a stun from Aki as well. Right now, gold is dead even, but OMG, the pressure is on them, right? The lead for the Tryndamere has started to get smaller. Even if it's still mathematically the same, it's, as a percentage, not going to be as relevant as it was earlier. And it feels like they're struggling to approach these teamfights with Dragon. 45 seconds, I'm watching Shanji, I'm watching his approach in the flank, and for LNG, group up, have the Jinx free hit. That's the goal.
Here we go. So this is the important thing to recognize. Light does not have his flash. You do have a Mikhail's Blessing and even a Randuin's Omen here for Iwandi. So there's a lot of damage mitigation, a lot of ways of keeping Light safe in these fights. He does have a red buff, and you can see with that extra 500 HP shield he gets every few seconds, it's going to be very difficult for the side of OMG to take him down. Now, with the pressure they have in mid, Shanji backs away from bot. They're going to honestly have to give this one up. I don't think they're going to be in the correct position. But as I say that, I forgot there was still 10 seconds for that Dragon. So they still have time to make this one work. Cole goes over. They land the hook there. That's on the perfect target. It's going to be the Heartbreaker out. As we can see the True Shot Barrage coming over. They land the Everfrost as Cole goes down. The cleanse is going to be good there. The Mikhail's was perfect to keep Light alive. Keep Light free hitting with this red buff. With all the damage in the world, Light picks himself up a kill. And it looks like OMG have lost themselves a bit of gas. They don't really have a way into these fights.
Yeah, expertly played by LNG. They kite backwards to peel for the Jinx. They don't let either Cream or Shanji get behind and apply that flank pressure. And as a result, Light has a clear path to just keep moving away, able to turn things around, and just very well played from LNG. And the thing is, if they can continue to do this, it's really on OMG. OMG have to play better than LNG to find favor in these fights. And they are struggling right now. Third Dragon secured for LNG. And we'll get a replay of that fight. So initially, we see a lot of damage just laid down on the Cold, right, which is obviously a positive, and they even managed to get the kill on the back end. But I want you to watch Light. So first, Cream comes in to try and apply that pressure. Charm goes wide, and Light starts kiting towards here, where they have the control ward and the brush, very hard to threaten. And then we see Shanji. The problem is he's trying to dive through the team. You have things like the Nautilus disrupting, and by the time he even reaches Light, he gets one auto-win, and his ult runs out.
Yep, and that's a 3-item Jinx now coming in with the Infinity Edge after the Kraken Slayer and the Phantom Dancer. This composition, like you mentioned, is for LNG. Protect Light has been from Game 1, Game 2, and now in Game 3. They have got other threats with Ala on the Camille, but it is all about this Jinx. With the lethal tempo, it is just that. It is lethal for the side side of OMG. And honestly, I got to call out Cream a little bit. You need your charms to hit. You need to be burning cooldowns. You need to be getting the Mikhail's blessing, the flashes, the heals out before the initial fight actually happens, before the actual full setup becomes, and that's going to be a very difficult thing, especially if you're not landing those CCs.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Like, you look at Mikhail's, it's coming up soon, right? It's hard to burn and then go into a fight, so even if you land the charm, that's not often going to be enough. I just feel like OMG in a rough spot, and this is it. There's no next game. Like, yes, there's a series tomorrow, but if you lose this, that series means nothing for you. Only doesn't mean something for RNG, and they are arguably an even harder opponent than LNG right now. We see Tarzan will just move down towards bot, and they might look for a collapse here.
Oh, this is perfect. He baited it in the fog of war. Absolutely fantastic from OMG. They set this up from so long, but can they get themselves out? He got one more charm in the Spirit Rush. I got to give props. That was a very well-played move.
Yeah, the cheapie from Cream means he's comfortable to go down there. And Shanji looked like he was out of position, but they managed to turn it around. It's something, right? It's not going to mean that much right now for OMG. There's nothing can really translate into. The creativity will reward them for the time being, and it means they have a bit of pressure on the map while Tarzan is unavailable. For 20 seconds, it's not a ton of time.
It's not a ton of time. We see OMG now. Actually, I say that. They've got a bit of time without there being a jungler here, and they're just going to use that to get themselves some good semblance. They have got some pretty decent Baron take, I've got to admit, and that's going to mean they're going to start it off here. This is Shanji and Aki just setting this up. Cream on the outside here, trying to make sure that Ala can't get in. He's already down below half HP. Cold on the flank could come in with the showstopper to set it all up. 4,000 HP, 3,000, 2,000. Here goes the fight as Iwandi tries to jump onto Cream. He will sacrifice his life for the greater good as the Heartbreaker to spin to win and the Arcane Shift. But Ala is not done with this fight. He gets himself over the wall and trying to make this one work. You gain the Baron again, but you lose 2 members. You might even lose a 3rd, but Cold trying to run away with that dead man's blade should be able to keep himself just about alive. You get away with daylight robbery.
Yeah, well, it was marginally better than last time. Last time, they got the Baron, they lost 3, and a tower. This time, they got Baron, they lose 2 and a tower, so...
We take our wins. It means the game.
They're improving.
They are improving. Improvement is just the little victories, you know?
So
but it denies it off the field again from the side of LNG.
100%. And that's big, but I'm still concerned, right? You look at the scoreline. 4-0-6 on this Jinx. 5-2-3 on this Camille. This Camille had such a rough early game. Now really flourishing.
Equal on items, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what is so scary. Now, OMG, Cream just out of position, and that's the thing on the Ahri, is you feel so confident with the ult. Actually wasn't available there, but would have even had a chance to use it, right? That ability not coming in. And then here we see Abel, again, limited outplay potential against the Camille. That's why it's so effective in OMG's comp. But despite the Baron, which is nice, we're not really seeing too much use come out of it so far for OMG. You can see the top right, they're down on gold overall for it. Gold is even, and we have 1 minute until that dragon. And being an Ocean Soul, it's already kind of the situation where if you don't kill a target on LNG, they're going to get shielded, they're going to get healed. It's going to be even more extreme. If you can't take someone down, they will just live to fight and fight and fight, just staying up, and it is going to be so painful.
I feel like this is the moment for OMG. You have the Baron, you've got yourself ways of pushing back the wave so LNG can't get the favorable setup. They've all gone back, they've all picked up literally half items. You had the Glacial Shroud and you had the Caulfield's Warhammers. Here's Cold on the back side of this. Didn't get to use his flank last time as Ala goes in. Use the Hexacle to make a very, very early showstopper in. They will get down Cold, but look at Shanji on the backside as Light tries to get everything done. They can't catch the Jinx. They will trade this one back. As I say that, he goes golden, eventually getting taken down. But a Tryndamere is no longer here, and the resets are coming in. Cream trying to see if he can land a charm last of the one last person, not quite able. Look at Ole trying to shield. The shield is huge. Light finally goes down. It's all on Abel. He finally gets it, but it's a 4 for 5, and that means Dragon Soul for LNG. OMG, that wasn't what you needed.
So much committed for those kills, but Cream doesn't find the charm again at the critical moment. Doesn't connect. They're able to survive for long enough. Kite under the tower. And as much as the Jinx goes down, the Dragon is secured. The engage comes in, and honestly, it feels like Arlo wanted the Ahri, didn't find it, goes for the set, not the greatest target. He buys time, turns it around with W, and then Shanji just dives onto life. This stopwatch is instrumental in buying time, able to flash out, able to get shielding in and buy more time, and then it's this critical moment. Cream doesn't connect the charm. If that hits either target, I feel like you kill them quick enough. Aki has to try and go for the execute, but the shield denies it, and then he dies before he can even use his passive. It was down to these minute little things. But LNG win, and now they get the Ocean Soul. And in these long extended fights, that will pay off so heavily.
You saw just how much shielding that Karma can do right now. That's a Karma that has built 1 AP item. Technically 1.5 if you got the Moonstone Renewer.
Heal and shield power, baby.
Heal and shield power is disgusting, and he's got full tank after that. He's got himself a frozen heart to try and just mitigate some of Shanji's, basically auto attacks on top of this Jinx. So it's a very utility-based build here for Karma in the mid lane. Gold is dead even, but more importantly, LNG have the soul, and as we saw in game 2, the soul was the big difference maker between these two teams.
Yeah, and the thing is here is that, like, often I say Ocean Soul's good on teams where it's hard to kill targets. Tanky targets is good because they last long enough to get the value out of it. If you're getting blown up, it's not really great. Here, everyone is essentially a tanky target because you have that shielding coming in, but also you have GA on both your critical carriers here, right? Death's Dance as well on Arla. No one is dying quickly. And that's the problem OMG been having. They're trying to get resets on the Viego. They're just not coming through.
Okay, we got stopwatches coming in here for OMG. They're trying to toy with the idea. They need to make a decision soon. There we go. There's a showstopper in. They're trying to jump onto this Jinx. Here comes the TPs. They're trying to just take out Light. And Tarzan's keeping it as a 4-man Everfrost as they make this one work. Doonby not quite going down just yet. They've got the Unstoppable, the Undying Rage. But look at that shielding. It's ridiculous. The GA buys even more time. Is able. Has to run away. They can't quite take down the Camille. They finally will. There's the resets coming out. But they're not quite able to get it. And now Light can run havoc on this backside with the lethal tempo, with the shielding and the healing that he possibly needs. There's nowhere for you to go, and LNG, they're running out of options.
And that was obviously the difference maker, right? We saw Doinby and Light survive on such little HP, enough to turn it around. Oh, Tarzan, he's found Cream.
Yep.
Cream should just go down here.
He's going to land the Q, which means there's no way of stopping out what is going to happen. That is a full 5 kills going over the side of LNG, and now Cold, he's got to do something. He's got to deny the minions or something. Nice haymaker, but I think he loses his life because of it. He was stationary for a second, and that's going to mean he goes down. They will get the kill over. Another ace going over the side of LNG. They are now firmly in control of this game. They've even broken open the base.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't really going to end there, I feel, but either way, Cole tries to play it safe, tries to stop it, but now gold lead for LNG 2000, and they have that soul in pocket. Dragon spawning in about 20 seconds, and critically, Cold's going to be dead for this. I just want to know, Cold and Cream aren't going to be up when the Baron spawns. Now we see this big engage come in, but I really want to highlight this fight on the right side and just how close it ends up being, right? We see Light gets caught by the root, and Shanji just flies in. Look how low Doinby ends up getting. Literally, the Ocean Soul is a difference maker. And then Light,
auto attack him.
Yeah, and he just couldn't find it. He committed on the Light. Doinby survives thanks to the Ocean Soul. Light is able to heal up, and he went so low to Shanji, and now he's back up to half HP. Constantly healing, constantly getting shielded. You have to kill them, right? I know that sounds like the standard thing in League of Legends, but they have to actually die. And now, LNG in the replay managed to pick up Baron. They are now 3,000 gold up, but the comp feels so strong. Level 17 on Light, and still with the GA. They're marching towards the base of OMG.
Light doesn't have flash just yet. We'll have it in about 30 seconds or so. His full build on this Jinx. We can see the True Shot Barrage, but like, you can't deal with this right now. Ola jumps straight onto Cream. He's just getting obliterated. Here we go. Showstopper in. They're trying to make this one work as he gets Shanji on the backside. He's doing nothing.
He's not losing health.
He's doing nothing. That was literally a negative damage to the side of Light. This game is over, and unfortunately for LNG or OMG, it is going to be their season as well. The base has been cracked. The minions are pouring in. LNG will stamp themselves into the top 4. They may go a little higher, they may go a little lower, but it's neither here nor there. OMG are out of playoffs. FBX are in.
And I mean, it was a proper fight in that series. But the last game, it just felt like they didn't find the momentum. Cream had a rough one, and then they just got outscaled. It felt like, you know, we saw the transition where, like, earlier fights, they were able to find a bit of momentum. Then we got to the later ones, so it's like, okay, this is getting hard. And that final one, Trinity hitting your AD carry, and the shields don't even break. Right? Your critical mass was hit, and I think, you know, you can definitely draw question marks about the drop, but I think execution was so inconsistent from OMG, right? Game 2, even within the game that they won, it was a bit hit or miss. Over the series, absolutely so. And it's a rough end to the season. Obviously, there's extra pressure from the fact that we're having to play 3 games in a row. Unfortunate circumstances, but I still think there's positives to be drawn from this lineup regardless. You know,
very young lineup.
Exactly.
Excluding Cold.
You know, we've seen
it's been around a while.
We've seen Shanji have a really strong performance coming in as a rookie. And despite the fact they won't make playoffs, you know, they put in a good effort and have a chance to play spoiler tomorrow against RNG.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, look, it's commiserations, of course, to OMG. This is a bitter pill to swallow, especially considering you had to play them. Look, it's the way that the dice rolls sometimes. I think if you were given an option between forfeiting and playing 3 games in a row, you're going to play 3 games in a row every single time. So, I mean, there's no one in the world who's going to deny that. You'd rather a chance than as a straight-up loss. And they were competitive through and through. They went 2-1 yesterday, or 1-2 against FBX yesterday. They went 1-2 today against LNG. They still got to go up against RNG tomorrow. And again, LNG and JDG, specifically JDG, are going to be very big OMG fans tomorrow. And we've seen it multiple times this split with TT, WE, LGD. Once the pressure is off, they just seem to open themselves up and kind of just play a lot better. So there is I'm not counting OMG out of tomorrow's series.
I mean, RNG lost to WE. RNG can lose to anyone, right, at this point.
I love that. It's like they could beat anyone. It's like, no, they can lose to anyone.
But like, their record against like teams on the upper end of playoffs.
They only lost to V5.
Yeah, I mean, they beat so many teams.
Oh, no, wait,
they
beat V5. Who'd they lose to?
No, they didn't.
Did they not beat V5? I thought they were the one of 2 teams.
No, Weibo and JDG beat
Weibo, that's who I was thinking of, yeah.
RNG, like, they lost to V5. They pretty much beat a bunch of those other top teams, right?
Yeah, between like 7th and 6th.
Yeah.
Or 7th and 3rd.
Yeah, and it's just kind of crazy that they do all that, but they can drop games into lower team, which is why it's still up in the air. But LNG, let's talk about them, right? I think this wasn't the cleanest series. There's definitely still some question marks. I think Arlo looks rough, I'll be honest, but Light was that consistent carry. And I think critically, the team looked like a team. I think more, and that's the thing we've struggled to see is the coordination. I think particularly Tarzan, Dreambeat, and Iwandi work together as a 3-man unit to try and facilitate particularly their AD carry, because Light, he has shown time and time again that he's an AD carry where if you invest resources, you get back a lot of value.
Yeah, you invest in him, he will give you the dividends. He will return a good investment from you, and that's exactly what he's been all split. Honestly, I think Light has been one of the most, if not the consistent, carry or player on this team. I think Iwandi coming in now has finally found his footing. He came back up in the first series a little bit rocky, but of course he was kind of building himself into it, and there was just, some of those hooks felt like they were heat-seeking in that game. You know, rather than landing onto Cold, they landed onto Aki or Cream, and, you know, hell, even get onto Abel, so he had to burn the Arcane Shift early to buffer it. It is those little things that I feel like LNG are deservedly a top 4 team in our league, and yes, it is, you know, unfortunate the way the momentum has kind of shifted, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. You have to win as many games as you possibly can from the start of January right up until the end of March.
And I still have questions, right? And I feel like I still have reservations and questions about LNG, which is why I'm still a bit concerned with them going into the playoffs. I don't think this series was like, oh, cool, fixed everything, solved, got it. And a big aspect of it is that 7-0 streak at the start was a reason why they ended up in a good position at the end of the split, right? Yep. If they hadn't had that big 7-0 win streak, they wouldn't be nearly as positive they are. And you think you compare the 7-0 to now 4 wins, 5 losses in the other end, still question marks. But they made it, right? They made it into a spot with good seeding. And they have the talent. I think no one is down LNG for the individual talent on their roster, right?
It's the consistency.
Yeah, I think that's the critical thing is like, you know, if every player is playing on their best day, they are a challenger for the title.
Yep.
If they're not, I could see them actually losing their first game,
that's why they need to get top 4. They miss round 1, round 2, and they go straight to round 3. So they're technically only one best of 5 away from double elim. So they just need to win that one series.
You say that though,
and then they get a lifeline.
I would actually honestly,
they play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
I would actually honestly, I feel like there's an aspect to it where if they go in cold, I'm concerned.
No, Cold's on OMG.
Yeah. I feel like
you can't trade mid-season.
I feel like it's one of those things where like remember we had a similar thing last split, right?
Yes.
7-0 for LNG. Then they had this really rough period.
I think they ended on 11-5. I think it was. I could be wrong with that, but it was very similar scoreline.
Yeah, but they ended up starting early in the.
Yes, they started right at the first step.
Yeah, and then they had that big winning streak and ended up making it to Worlds, right? And I think that's kind of the thing where I could see them doing well, building momentum. They won't get that chance here. And they're going to have to practice and just sort out on the new patch as well. What has been going wrong? How can we fix it? Because today we saw better play, but again, OMG are not in playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So they're not exactly one of the opposition you're going to face up against. And I really need to be convinced still. And they have time. That's the critical element. They have time to prepare. A lot of teams don't have that, right, going into that first round.
Yes, I think that's the big thing. The big benefit you have when you're starting off later into the playoffs is yes, it is a brand new patch. We are playing on 12.5b, so we are playing with the hotfixes of certain things, but it is very much one of those things of like you get to see a lot of the different meta forming. And it's like, does that work? Does that not work? We see it with play-ins and worlds as well, you know, and certain things are hyped up, certain things aren't. But we're going to talk about our MVP. It was Light coming into this one on the Jinx. Honestly, it wasn't going to be anybody else. When they needed him to step up, he did, and 36.4% damage percentage will do that.
Yeah, damage per gold, 177%. It's expected when you have a composition with a Karma and you have like Lee Sin who's playing that peeling game for you. You're just set up to carry, but still. That's why they invest in Light, because he's able to do so in these situations. Steps forward there to avoid the Everfrost and just kiting backwards, dealing with threats. But again, he doesn't overcommit and chase Cream down, sticks with the team, and it felt like LNG were working as a tight-knit unit. That was the difference in this game. It works well when they have these Karma comps, and I think that's something they've shown, is that when Doinby is playing this Karma, something that gets that prior early, can play for Tarzan, and then able to buff up his teammates later, they are good at that. But in a best of 5, you know,
we'll have to wait and see. Best of 5s are a completely different beast. I will say this was kind of the last fight, I feel like, for OMG, where they really could have made something happen. And you can see it right down to the end. Light just kind of constantly kiting, constantly not putting damage. I feel like if Sanji puts one more auto attack on the Doomby, he probably kills him.
Yeah.
And he gets at least a 1-for-1 trade.
I think that's the thing, is like, killing the Jinx is the main priority, but Jinx is GA, right?
Yeah, and shielding from the Karma.
And I feel like you get so much value from the Karma on the Jinx, you just take who you can get.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't pick and choose in these situations. You just kill someone.
Kill anyone.
Yeah.
Especially the Karma, who's like facilitating all of these shieldings and keeping the team healthy, where you know, without.
Which is kind of why he went in the build with like Frozen Heart, because
yeah,
not only does it offer like that, well, ability haste, great, right? It has the
mana, cool.
Yeah, it has the AoE attack speed reduction, which is really strong in those situations. But also, it just makes you a hard target to kill, and it means you're kind of like, you know, I can just sit there hitting away at the Karma, or I can try and kill the Jinx.
Not going to do as much, yeah. So it makes you think about it, but what we don't have to think about is who's going to be in our playoffs. Is with today's results, we're going to bring them up onto screen right now. It is, sadly for OMG fans, a 2-1 victory for LNG. They go to 11-5. That shoots them right up into top 4. And that's going to give, again, great moves here for them. Again, like we said, yes, they went from 7-1 in the first half of the split to a 4-4 record in the second half.
4-5.
So no, it's 4-4.
Oh, I guess half.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. 7-1.
Yeah, you actually cutting in half.
I'm
I was
cutting
cheating
in half
by saying 7-0. Yeah,
16. But we can see them here. They get themselves to top 4. The only thing that can really change right now is going to be RNG and JDG. If RNG, and actually LNG as well, because if RNG lose at 0-2, I have to check the.
No, RNG
own the head-to-head. They own the head-to-head. They own the head-to-head.
So even if RNG lose 0-2,
they just swap with JDG.
Yeah. So only RNG and JDG can change. LNG, they could both have +8 game score, but obviously the series earlier. So if LNG had won 2-0 today,
then it's a different conversation.
Then it's a different conversation. But yeah, so as of now, it's been so up in the air going into these last 3 games. Lot has been locked in today. Before today's game, BLG and V5 were the only teams who had locked into 1st and 8th. Everything sort of locked in place apart from 2nd and 3rd now.
Before we can move on to our looking at tomorrow's games, EDG start in round 1. Our world champions from 2021 start in the first round of playoffs. And again, like we mentioned before, we go playoff 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day, 6 day, 7 day, 8 days in a row of playoffs. You have so many games to play. We got one more in the regular split. This will decide if RNG or JDG get themselves second. It is OMG versus RNG. Again, RNG, big boon for them if they can get into that double elimination. Gives you that lifeline, gives you that safety knowing that even if you do come in a little bit, like, you know, cold, a little bit temperate towards
even
the game.
if you do like they did against WE.
Exactly. Yeah. If you do come in against WE like you did in summer, you have a lifeline to then run it. And we've seen them run it in spring last year as well.
Yeah, so definitely makes a big difference for either team. So it's on RNG to beat out OMG. They're coming in as favorites for sure.
Yep.
But OMG has shown that both today's series and yesterday's series was a fight. They really gave it their all. And maybe, you know, shaking off the nerves, no longer under pressure, might end up bringing it tomorrow and going for a bit of an upset. But ultimately, we had so much locked in today. It's going to be able to fill out the bracket, right? We're going to have a much clearer view of how things are going. and teams can really start prepping for their opponents now.
Yeah, and we can start prepping as well. And with that, we're going to have to say, yeah, I know, right? It helps us too. We're going to send it off, though. This is all we have time for today. Thank you again to everyone who has watched us. Thank you, Ox, for coming to Ireland to cast with me.
Thanks for leaving your window open
No
so I could
problem,
sneak in.
man.
Yeah.
I thought you broke it. Never mind. It's open now.
Breaking is the same as opening.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you get the right result. You know, it's not about how you get there; it's where you go.
Yeah, when I'm from Newcastle. If there's not bars in front, it's open.
I thank you, everyone behind the scenes. Without them, none of this would be possible. We will see you guys tomorrow at the slightly later usual time, but we'll see you on the same channel. We'll see you guys then.